Welcome to the Code Breakers. This is Paradox.
And this is D. Welcome to a DNC breakdown from the Code Breakers.
It is August 19th, Wednesday, 2020. We are live. Make sure that we're live on, we should be live on YouTube, right? You're on mute, I think. Yeah, we are live, I think.
All right. Yep, I'm here, live and in charge, man. Yeah, I think we good to go, brother. We good.
We just went out again on mute. You having technical difficulties early.
Oh, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hopefully, I got that little bug a little bit loose to trying to keep me from coming through tonight. But you can't keep me down tonight, baby. Not tonight.
Shout out to the listeners. Definitely like, subscribe. Hit us on Twitter at CodeBreakers191 for sure. We've already well, it's been day 3 for the convention.
Yep, day 3. The heavy hitters are coming out. It's Black Immigrant Day, obviously. So we'll
I thought it was Women's Day. It's not Women's Day. It's like I'm at church. They have Men's Day. We have Women's Day at church.
Yeah, that goes together. It's Women's and Immigrant Days. Yeah, that's it. That'll work.
Yeah, because the whole ticket of speakers are all women, and then Baraka closed it up. So you had Hillary, you have Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is coming. Nancy Pelosi just did her thing. I think Tulsi Gabbard is coming.
Shout out to Baltimore's finest, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House.
Yeah,
very, very influential stalwart here in DC. She is a woman of very significant power when it comes down to the halls of the Capitol. Believe that.
Because I'm gonna tell you,
on both sides of the aisle too.
Clyburn should have got. He should be the whip. He should be the minority leader in the House. He should have got that job, and she somehow finagled that from him this time around. 2 years ago, you know he was in line for that, right?
Yeah,
everybody was wanting him to get that, and I think they made him. I don't have my computer up. I think they made him the. They make him the whip. The minority whip. I don't have my computer, but anyway.
I don't think John. I don't even think John is the. Let me see what good old John is really, really quick, because we're going to get things accurate today. We're not going to do no guessing. We're going to get the story. We're going to get the story right today.
I don't even know what I did.
No, I got him in the pocket right now. I'm about to get him pulled up.
Yeah. iPad data.
Good old John. Man, he got the smile that only a mother can love, boy. Like a chested cat. Yeah, he's the House. He's the yeah, he's the House Majority Whip. So they got him up in there.
No, he's the whip. He's cool.
Yeah.
He's in the pocket. Do you know the difference between what's the definition? What's the difference between the minority leader, but then the whip of the House, the minority whip? I didn't know what is he like a second in command? I think.
Well, he is like he's like the second in command as far as like one of the actual leaders. So it's like you got the leader of the house, right?
Right.
So you got
Which
the majority, leader, which is what's
what's
the
my
dude's
guy's
name?
name?
Hoyer. I forget what state he's out of, but Hoyer. Then you have Jim Claiborne,
Right.
and then you have on the Republican side you got McCarthy and Scalise,
Yeah.
the party leaders. So you got three white men and good old Jim up in there.
And Nancy was one white woman. Yeah, I got you. Nancy, like you said, she got a lot of power, man.
Oh yeah, she's
I think
Nancy in the pocket, man.
I watch a lot of random stuff, but I think that this is coming from somebody else. So I think that she corrupted AOC.
Why do you say that? I'm gonna let you get that off, but why would you say that though? Why would you think that she corrupted AOC? Like AOC wasn't already on 10 when she got up in there, like she's still in college or something.
In the quote unquote squad. This is because the Republicans have made them famous, probably more famous than they should be. But because they just started targeting them for some odd random reason. I guess
I think she's building her for the long haul. I think she's giving her what you call what the old folks used to call tough. That's
that's funny.
You see how hard she goes. You see how hard she goes.
I'm not saying. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with, and she's just a rep out of a district in New York. But some people who follow those people in that space was kind of joking. I don't know. They weren't joking around actually, but they believe that they noticed a little bit of a shift that maybe she's not going as hard as she was, and her and Nancy had a little bit of a fight. You remember that about a year ago?
Yeah.
See, I don't be knowing if pulling you into a room, yo, and be like, "Look here."
No, hold on. What do you think it is? Hold on.
I don't know how it works. That's why I don't know how it works.
Okay, so us being around people that we know, whenever something like that happens and somebody gets pulled up, you know what they normally say? Can you stay after? Everybody's dismissed.
Can you stay?
AOC, can I holler at you for a second? Stay after, please. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So
think about it. Nancy's 80 years old, bro. Nancy's 80. She's 80 years old.
She's proud to be 80.
So you already know that if she's going to leave it in hands, and she's not going to even make speaker yet. Like there's too many other people that's in line. But she's telling her, if you want to get this, yeah. But if it depends on what you want to do, how far she's going to show her. Yes, I do. Because you know it's almost like
it's almost like. You want to be a long term, or do you want to be short term?
Okay, so look at the White House, right? We could do this. Look at the White House as like a game or like a talent scout game. You see talent, you recognize it when you see it. Obviously, AOC has a lot of talent. People gravitate to her. She has an eye for the spotlight. She speaks what they call truth to power. People pay attention to her. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, whether you like her or dislike her, whatever the case may be. And she's been able to get those donors and those dollars into the pocket too. And it helps that she's young. She's new to Washington. Who else would want to get her? Who else would want to get her in the pocket? She's not a black woman, right? She doesn't claim blackness at all. She's a Latina. She's from New York. She has an actual platform that's pretty large, or a district that's pretty large that she already is handling. And she's speaking to her constituency in a very forceful manner. Even more so than a lot of people do. A lot of people wouldn't get this kind of help. There's a lot of people that didn't kind of, we know this, one-shot elections where they just crash and burn because they went too hard.
Yep.
She's getting groomed. She's getting help. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
I think some
AOC's getting a lot of help.
and it's not coming from me, of course, but I think some progressives, a handful, might have noticed maybe a slight shift in how she's moving, and she's
Yeah.
not. She's not supernova. So they were trying to make them go supernova. Her and the other ones to go kind of supernova and flash, or kind of like a flash in the pan, but they didn't. They didn't go. I think that they're gonna start to, like you just said, we'll see, right? It takes time, but we'll see if they start to scale back a little bit and move a little bit differently over the next, 2 to 4 years. Once you get in those feet, you taste it, and you taste that nectar or that power.
The power.
Like,
the power, the dark side.
So Nancy could have said, "Look here, you can do everything you're doing right now, but just imagine it being your career.
Right.
Imagine being able to do this for the next 30 years. You just got to move like this."
Know when to press, know when to lay off the gas. That's very important in Washington, especially as a congresswoman. Especially as a congresswoman.
Yeah.
But we've been jaw jacking a little bit, so it's not about us. We'll get into it after the hard hitters go ahead and speak, but we do want to give you guys a full preview of what they're going to be saying at the DNC. Hopefully you guys can bear with us as we slog through this. So hopefully it's not too boring. But I think who's on right now?
On what? Oh, the former Labor Secretary, Hilda Solis.
Okay. So if you want, man, we can go ahead and cue this thing on up, and
somebody put a question in the comments. I don't know if we want to turn up yet though, because that's definitely I got an answer for that. Obviously.
What's the question?
Ready? I don't be in the comments like that, but I'm still.
Do you guys from the sneak 2008? Thanks for coming through. We appreciate you, good brothers. Kareem Austin, what's up? Good evening. Do you guys really think white woman voters for Trump will increase, decrease in 2020 versus 2016? And would white women want to see a black woman enjoy a position of power before them? You want to take that one first?
Oh, we're gonna put up the video. Let's go. We put the stream up too.
Okay, it's already up. I got it up already. You could just.
I don't have it in the stream.
All right, cool. Oh, what's the name from what's the show? What was the show called?
I don't remember.
Scandal.
Yeah, Scandal.
That's Miss Olivia Pope right there.
She's on a real character, right? Real person.
Yeah, real person. Yeah. Washington D.C. handled it. They actually did an interview with the lady that the show was based off of. The only question I had for her was which president? Which president were you talking to? Which one was he? Shoot. You don't look that old.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But you now let me go ahead and get this thing live, because we're gonna be going live.
No one was buying anything. My employees,
can you hear it?
They're gone. I reached out to my bank, but they stated that they had no more.
I got it low.
A lot of the bigger
whatever either way.
Get the bailout.
Got the.
Myself is just left to struggle.
I think I know her. Let me see if it's the same lady.
President Trump, I feel. How can I say?
No, that's not her. I don't think.
I'm alone.
Let's see. You got the.
This is the story of Lynn Ta and her 2 restaurants. One closed, and one.
I thought that was a different lady.
It's really hard for restaurants to begin. It would be crowded in here with babies and families and crowds outside waiting to get in.
Oh, yeah. Can you turn it down some more?
And on the day of the shutdown, we were
Yeah, we got it there.
But nah, I would say that I think I don't know. That's a good question. My natural response, my gut response to that is I think probably more white women is going to vote for Trump. But when I say more, it's a hard. Huh?
You know, there's a difference between percentage-wise and an actual number. So which one would you? I would give both. So you can go ahead.
Oh no, no. The only thing I was going to say was it's not a. I mean, on one level, it is a simple question. The answer is probably yes. But what I don't know is those two questions you just asked, which is how many and what percent. And I'm talking about at the district level.
Yeah.
So
it's very important on both sides of it too.
Yeah, you're talking about thousands of districts, so it's hard to quantify on some level. I mean, I see the numbers they're trying to say, and the polls that they run are trying to say, but I think he will get equal plus maybe 2%. You know, I don't yet know how
52% or well, we talking about overall voters or
yeah, I think he's gonna probably hit about the same numbers because like me and you talked about before, the vote count I think only matters maybe around the energy of voting, meaning that people are just excited about voting, so you may get a higher turnout, right? Even if you get a higher turnout and say a particular state is voting at 73%, maybe they voted 75%, right, or 74%, or even if it dips, you may get a higher, like you say, vote count. You may even get a higher participation rate, but the district is only going to yield so many votes regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as electoral votes, so it's kind of like
that's right.
Will people in certain districts shift in those swing states? Will those white women in those swing states that may have went for Trump last time, will he see an increase in those voters to counteract, if you want to make that argument, the increase in voters on the left?
Let's kick this up. Elizabeth Warren, the senator out of which is senator out of Connecticut, right, or Massachusetts? Which one? Massachusetts. Okay.
Connecticut. No, she's next to Bernie.
Childcare was already hard to find before the pandemic, and now parents are stuck. No idea when schools can safely reopen, and even fewer childcare options. The devastation is enormous, and the way I see it, big problems demand big solutions. Now, I love a good plan, and Joe Biden has some really good plans to bring back union jobs in manufacturing and create new union jobs in clean energy. Plans to increase Social Security benefits, cancel billions in student loan debt, and make our bankruptcy laws work for families instead of the creditors who cheat them. These plans reflect a central truth. Our economic system has been rigged to give bailouts to billionaires and kick dirt in the face of everyone else. But we can build a thriving economy by investing in families and fixing what's broken. Joe's plan to build back better includes making the wealthy pay their fair share, holding corporations accountable, repairing racial inequities, and fighting corruption in Washington. Let me tell you about one of Joe's plans that's especially close to my heart: childcare. As a little girl growing up in Oklahoma, what I wanted most in the world was to be a teacher. I loved teaching. And when I had babies and was juggling my first big teaching job down in Texas, it was hard.
Say what now?
But I could do hard. The thing that almost sank me: childcare. One night, my Aunt B called just to check.
Quite often.
I thought I was fine, but then I just broke down and started to cry. I had tried holding it all together, but without reliable childcare, working was nearly impossible. And when I told Aunt B I was going to quit my job, I thought my heart would break.
Aunt B, I was going to quit my
job. She said the words that changed my life.
Don't do it, man.
I can't get there tomorrow, but I'll come on Thursday.
Let Elizabeth have her
She
peace.
arrived with 7 suitcases and a Peabody
This stuff is canned
for
already.
16 years. I get to be here tonight because
They're
of
not,
my Aunt
they're not
B.
being real. They're being
I learned a
manipulative.
fundamental truth. Nobody makes it on their own. And yet, here we are, 2 generations of working parents later. And if you have a baby and don't have an Aunt B, you're on your own. And here's why that is wrong. We build infrastructure like roads and bridges and communication systems so that people can work. That infrastructure helps us all because it keeps our economy going. It's time to recognize that childcare is part of the basic infrastructure of this nation.
Only
It's
problem is they
infrastructure for
only do
families. Joe
half-ass.
and Kamala will make high-quality childcare affordable for every family,
No, you're
make
not.
preschool
Lie.
universal, and raise the wages of every childcare worker.
True.
Now, that's just one plan, but it gives you an idea of how we get this
We're gonna
country
make childcare
working for
affordable.
everyone.
Childcare
Donald
costs,
Trump's ignorance and
the increase in
incompetence
childcare
have
over the last 20
always
years.
been a danger to our country.
Elizabeth
Affordable.
Warren.
COVID-19 was Trump's biggest test. He failed
But you know what the
miserably.
problem
Today,
is, right?
America
Joe
has the
Biden
most COVID deaths in the
in
world
office with President
and
Obama.
an economic collapse. And both crises are
We
falling
have a record
hardest
for
on
him,
Black
basically.
and brown
Say
families.
what now?
Millions out of work, millions more trapped
I
in
said
cycle
that Joe Biden, really,
millions
because
on
of
the brink of
Obama, he
losing
has
their
a record
homes,
of a lot of
millions
this
of
stuff.
restaurants and
Right.
stores hanging
No,
by
I'm
a
tying him
thread.
to Obama. I'm not even going to
This
go through his
crisis
other
is
career.
bad, and it didn't have
This
to
him
be
being with
this way.
Obama, they had all these
This crisis is
options
on
to do all
Donald
these things.
Trump and the Republicans who enable him. On November 3rd, we will hold them all accountable. So,
Yeah, they're just talking
whether you're
rhetoric.
planning to vote wearing a mask or vote by mail, please take out your phone
Yeah, I
right
don't.
now and text
Turn
vote
this down.
to 30330. We all need to be in the fight to get Joe and Kamala elected. And after November, we all need to
Remember, Elizabeth
stay in the
Warren
fight
is
to
progressive.
get big things done.
She does not
I
support
know.
them.
We stay in
That's all
this
I'm
I know.
saying.
fight
They
so
don't
that
have to be
when our
loud.
children and our grandchildren
It's not like this
ask
is
what
a
we did
person talking.
during this dark chapter in
You said
our
what now?
nation's history,
She's as far left as
we
you
will
can
be
be,
able to look them squarely in
with
the
Joe
eye
Biden.
and
Joe Biden is
say,
a corporate
we
Democrat.
organized,
This is a
we
complete fraudulent
persisted,
conversation right now.
and we changed America.
That's all I'm saying. It's like it's not. She's not really saying nothing. You don't have to have this loud. You ain't really talking about nothing.
Former
Yeah, she
President
didn't.
Barack
I was
Obama
just trying to
said
give her.
choosing Joe Biden to be his vice
Yeah, I was just
president
trying to
was
give
one of
her a fair chance to say what she said, but no, she didn't. I'm curious because a lot of people keep telling me that,
To the left.
she's one of the ones that they wanted to really run for office, and I'm like,
Used
I
to be.
don't.
She got co-opted. The same
No,
thing that happened to
listen,
AOC happened to Elizabeth Warren like
I
4 years
don't
ago.
see it
Maybe.
though. But I don't see the gravitas or the energy behind her at all, bro. I don't
Well,
see
she
it.
backstabbed Joe Biden. She backstabbed. I'm sorry, not Joe Biden. She backstabbed. She backstabbed. What's his name? I forgot his name now. Bernie Sanders, and threw her support behind Joe Biden.
Yeah.
She cut.
Yeah,
They
I
used
remember
her
that.
to cut into Bernie's electoral vote.
Mhm.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I remember this too. I remember when that happened.
What happened? I missed it.
When he gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Joe. Surprised him, Well, supposedly surprised him, and he started to kind of tear up or whatever.
What did he get it for? For locking up black people? Oh, black dude giving a white medal of honor for locking up black dude.
Ain't that something? That is amazing, man. Amazing.
Could you make an argument that locking up black dudes? No, I'm not gonna go there. I'll do that one.
An honor my three most recent successors deserves only three others: Pope John Paul II, President Ronald Reagan, and General Colin Powell.
But yeah, she backdoored Bernie Sanders, man,
Presidential Medal of Freedom with
and threw her support behind a corrupt corporate Democrat.
Will the aide please read the
It made no sense to me. I'm like, were you looking for a job? Did she want a job? Maybe that's what she asked.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
I heard this one dude say that Joe Biden I mean, that Bernie Sanders don't want to be Ralph Nader, and so
No.
he sold the Democratic Party instead of progressive.
Think about this, right?
Because he don't want
What's a more electable ticket? Biden Warren or Sanders Warren?
Sanders.
Sanders and Warren, you think, is a more electable ticket than Biden and Warren? I don't think Elizabeth thought that way. That's why she did that. That's the only reason why you would do it.
Coward.
Because maybe in her mind, she thought to have two progressives on the same ticket would not be able to pull enough of the moderates over to the left the way
She's
they
a
want
coward.
to.
She's a coward.
Of course she is. But hold on,
And
it's not about bravery.
The moderates.
Hold on,
you have to
hold on.
ask the question, give me an answer. The moderates need to be pulled to the left or need to be primary about some seats.
Bernie Sanders is not a coward. Is Bernie Sanders a coward?
I just
Okay.
said he doesn't want to be Ralph Nader. He literally did not fight. He literally did
Yeah,
not fight.
That's
for his
bold to me.
position
What
in-
Ralph did, what Ross Perot did, that is bold because they said, you know what, I'm not going to sit up here and join your party just because, you know, I may share a little bit of the same beliefs, but I'm going to go independent. And I know I have no shot at, I know I have no real shot at winning, but my principles have to stand the test of time. You know what I mean?
I
And the
think the
same thing with
mistake-
Ralph Nader.
I think the mistake that Bernie may have made.
Hold on, let's give the brother a chance, man. My brother.
In this election. Because what we do
saying anything.
these next 76 days will echo through generations to come. I'm in Philadelphia, where our Constitution was drafted and signed. It wasn't a perfect document. It allowed for the inhumanity of slavery and failed to guarantee women and even men who didn't own property the right to participate in the political process. But embedded in this document was a North Star that would guide future generations. A system of representative government, a democracy, through which we could better realize our highest ideals. Through civil war and bitter struggles, we improved this Constitution to include the voices of those who'd once been left out. And gradually, we made this country more just and more equal and more free. The one constitutional office elected by all of the people is the presidency. So at a minimum, we should expect a president to feel a sense of responsibility for the safety and welfare of all 330 million of us, regardless of what we look like, how we worship, who we love, how much money we have, or who we voted for. But we should also expect a president to be the custodian of this democracy. We should expect that regardless of ego, ambition, or political beliefs, the president will preserve, protect, and defend the freedoms and ideals that so many Americans marched for, went to jail for, fought for, and died for. I have sat in the Oval Office with both of the men who are running for president. I never expected that my successor would embrace my vision or continue my policies. I did hope, for the sake of our country, that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously, that he might come to feel the weight of the office and discover some reverence for the democracy that had been placed in his care. But he never did. For close to 4 years now, he has shown no interest in putting in the work, no interest in finding common ground, no interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends. No interest in treating the presidency as anything but one more reality show that he can use to get the attention he craves. Donald Trump hasn't grown into the job because he can't. And the consequences of that failure are severe. 170,000 Americans dead. Millions of jobs gone, while those at the top take in more than ever. Our worst impulses unleashed, our proud reputation around the world badly diminished, and our democratic institutions threatened like never before. Now, I know that in times as polarized as these, most of you have already made up your mind. But maybe you're still not sure which candidate you'll vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. Maybe you're tired of the direction we're headed, but you can't see a better path yet, or you just don't know enough about the person who wants to lead us there. So let me tell you about my friend, Joe Biden. 12 years ago, when I began my search for a vice president, I didn't know I'd end up finding a brother. Joe and I come from different places, different generations, but what I quickly came to admire about Joe Biden is his resilience, born of too much struggle, his empathy, born of too much grief. Joe is a man who learned early on to treat every person he meets with respect and dignity, living by the words his parents taught him. No one's better than you, Joe, but you're better than nobody. That empathy, that decency, the belief that everybody counts, that's who Joe is. When he talks with someone who's lost her job, Joe remembers the night his father sat him down to say that he'd lost his. When Joe listens to a parent who's trying to hold it all together right now, he does it as a single dad who took the train back to Wilmington each and every night so he could tuck his kids into bed. When he meets with military families who've lost their hero, he does it as a kindred spirit, the parent of an American soldier, somebody whose faith has endured the hardest loss there is. For 8 years, Joe was the last one in the room whenever I faced a big decision. He made me a better president, and he's got the character and the experience to make us a better country. And in my friend Kamala Harris, he's chosen an ideal partner who is more than prepared for the job. Someone who knows what it's like to overcome barriers and who's made a career fighting to help others live out their own American dream. Along with the experience needed to get things done, Joe and Kamala have concrete policies that will turn their vision of a better, fairer, stronger country into reality. They will get this pandemic under control, like Joe did when he helped me manage H1N1 and prevent an Ebola outbreak from reaching our shores. They'll expand healthcare to more Americans, like Joe and I did 10 years ago, when he helped craft the Affordable Care Act and nail down the votes to make it the law. They'll rescue the economy, like Joe helped me do after the Great Recession. I asked him to manage the Recovery Act, which jump-started the longest stretch of job growth in history. And he sees this moment now, not as a chance to get back to where we were, but to make long overdue changes so that our economy actually makes life a little easier for everybody. Whether it's the waitress trying to raise a kid on her own, or the shift worker always on the edge of getting laid off, or the student figuring out how to pay for next semester's classes. Joe and Kamala will restore our standing in the world. And as we've learned from this pandemic, that matters. Joe knows the world, and the world knows him. He knows that our true strength comes from setting an example that the world wants to follow. A nation that stands with democracy, not dictators. A nation that can inspire and mobilize others to overcome threats like climate change and terrorism, poverty and disease. But more than anything, what I know about Joe, what I know about Kamala is that they actually care about every American and that they care deeply about this democracy. They believe that in a democracy, the right to vote is sacred, and we should be making it easier for people to cast their ballots, not harder. They believe that no one, including the president, is above the law, and that no public official, including the president, should use their office to enrich themselves or their supporters. They understand that in this democracy, the commander-in-chief does not use the men and women of our military who are willing to risk everything to protect our nation as political props to deploy against peaceful protesters on our own soil. They understand that political opponents aren't un-American just because they disagree with you. A free press isn't the enemy, but the way we hold officials accountable. That our ability to work together to solve big problems like a pandemic depend on a fidelity to facts and science and logic, and not just making stuff up. None of this should be controversial. These shouldn't be Republican principles or Democratic principles. They are American principles. But at this moment, this president and those who enable him have shown they don't believe in these things. Tonight, I'm asking you to believe in Joe and Kamala's ability to lead this country out of these dark times and build it back better. But here's the thing. No single American can fix this country alone. Not even a president. Democracy was never meant to be transactional. You give me your vote, I make everything better. It requires an active and informed citizenry. So I'm also asking you to believe in your own ability, to embrace your own responsibility as citizens, to make sure that the basic tenets of our democracy endure. Because that's what's at stake right now. Our democracy. Look, I understand why a lot of Americans are down on government. The way the rules have been set up and abused in Congress make it easier for special interests to stop progress than to make progress. Believe me, I know it. I understand why a white factory worker who's seen his wages cut or his job shipped overseas might feel like the government no longer looks out for him, and why a black mom might feel like it never looked out for her at all. I understand why a new immigrant might look around this country and wonder whether there's still a place for him here. Why a young person might look at politics right now, the circus of it all, the meanness and the lies and conspiracy theories, and think, what is the point? Well, here's the point. This president and those in power, those who benefit from keeping things the way they are counting on your cynicism. They know they can't win you over with their policies. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote and to convince you that your vote does not matter. That is how they win. That is how they get to keep making decisions that affect your life and the lives of the people you love. That's how the economy will keep getting skewed to the wealthy and well-connected. How our health systems will let more people fall through the cracks. That's how a democracy withers, until it's no democracy at all. And we cannot let that happen. Do not let them take away your power. Do not let them take away your democracy. Make a plan right now for how you are going to get involved and vote. Do it as early as you can and tell your family and friends how they can vote too. Do what Americans have done for over 2 centuries when faced with even tougher times than this. All those quiet heroes who found the courage to keep marching, keep pushing in the face of hardship and injustice. Last month, we lost a giant of American democracy in John Lewis. And some years ago, I sat down with John and a few remaining leaders of the early civil rights movement. One of them told me he never imagined he'd walk into the White House and see a president who looked like his grandson. And then he told me that he had looked it up. And it turned out that on the very day that I was born, he was marching into a jail cell, trying to end Jim Crow segregation in the South. What we do echoes through generations. Whatever our backgrounds, we are all the children of Americans who fought the good fight. Great-grandparents working in fire traps and sweatshops without rights or representation. Farmers losing their dreams to dust. Irish and Italians and Asians and Latinos told, go back where you come from. Jews and Catholics, Muslims and Sikhs made to feel suspect for the way they worshiped. Black Americans chained and whipped and hanged, spit on for trying to sit at lunch counters, beaten for trying to vote. If anyone had a right to believe that this democracy did not work and could not work, it was those Americans, our ancestors. They were on the receiving end of a democracy that had fallen short all their lives. They knew how far the daily reality of America strayed from the myth. And yet, instead of giving up, they joined together. And they said, somehow, some way, we are going to make this work. We are going to bring those words in our founding documents to life. I have seen that same spirit rising these past few years. Folks of every age and background who packed city centers and airports and rural roads so that families wouldn't be separated, so that another classroom wouldn't get shot up, so that our kids won't grow up on an uninhabitable planet. Americans of all races joining together to declare, in the face of injustice and brutality at the hands of the state, that Black lives matter. No more, but no less. So that no child in this country feels the continuing sting of racism. To the young people who led us this summer, telling us we need to be better, in so many ways, you are this country's dreams fulfilled. Earlier generations had to be persuaded that everyone has equal worth. For you, it's a given, a conviction. And what I want you to know is that for all its messiness and frustrations, your system of self-government can be harnessed to help you realize those convictions for all of us. You can give our democracy new meaning. You can take it to a better place. You're the missing ingredient. The ones who will decide whether or not America becomes the country that fully lives up to its creed. That work will continue long after this election. But any chance of success depends entirely on the outcome of this election. This administration has shown it will tear our democracy down if that's what it takes for them to win. So we have to get busy building it up by pouring all our efforts into these 76 days and by voting like never before for Joe and Kamala and candidates up and down the ticket so that we leave no doubt about what this country that we love stands for today and for all our days to come. Stay safe. God bless.
Thank you, President Obama, thank you for your brilliant leadership. Joe Biden has chosen an extraordinary woman to be his running mate. Kamala Harris is a fighter and a trailblazer, using her groundbreaking ideas to protect families and
President
by reducing
Barack Obama.
I am so thrilled.
I already know you got some comments on what you got to say about the
Now please welcome our
I faded out on him. You know, the first time you heard him back in 2004, and then you heard him in 2008. You know, after a while, that shit gets boring. It's like, what? What did you just say? I don't know. It's just a blur.
it's like he has like a what you call that? I call it it's a good one, but it's like the dream shake. You know, you didn't seen it so many times. It's still, you know, where the ball at? Right here. Oh, watch the Fefe right here. Oh, you don't see me? Oh, no, I'm right here again. Oh, now I'm about to go to the ball. About to go to the basket. There you go, right in the hole. So
Right.
he does the same thing. You know, it's effective for some people, but
You know what I'm trying
Like-
to figure out, right?
go
So
ahead.
Laura Ingraham from Fox News, right? The
Uh-huh.
Ingram angle.
Yeah.
She had I found some videos of her, right? And she was talking about the $1,200 that Trump gave out. You know that she was against that. That she thought it was too much money. You know,
I'm
and
not
just
surprised.
and I'm gonna say to watch her say it though, like to watch her say it live, just naturally. Like I was trying to figure out what person, what mode, what gear do I need to be in my life, or the people I need to be around, to where I could just say something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like where I look at people. You know what I mean? Where I can look at people a certain way.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like I can be in a certain space in this country to where, because you have money and power, that you
Right.
can kind of shit on people and there's no repercussions to it.
There's nothing coming for you.
Yeah, as long as you're successful, as long as you got money, you can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think America is such an ultra successful country that it's probably a lot. I don't know if it's easier or not easier to mistreat people who may have less than you. And you know what I mean? I don't know, you know, comparatively speaking, I don't know if it's any different overseas. You know, because some countries you have a high level of poverty, so it's hard to compare. And
How popular would you say that Laura Ingraham is overall?
well, Tucker Carlson is beating. You know, you saw his numbers versus the NBA numbers.
Right.
So he hit 6 million, 4 million, whatever it was, 3 million, 3.7. He's hitting numbers out of this world, and he's terrible. I've been watching Tucker Carlson for years.
Why do you call him terrible? There's a lot of people that love Tucker Carlson, man. You know that.
Because I've been following him for years.
I
Like,
have too. Yeah, I know who he is. I'm very familiar with Tucker
the
Carlson.
thing is that you can confuse networks that choose versus a person, right? So, for example, because everything filters through the major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, MSNBC, and CNN.
Uh-huh.
Even though since you go there, generally speaking, I think you get bumped regardless of who you are as a person. So it's not necessarily you. 'Cause I don't want to give him too much credit because Bill O'Reilly numbers were through the roof. You know, Bill O'Reilly goes offline, quote unquote, right? He goes to the web. He's not as important as he was before.
He's a hard worker.
True.
He's not as powerful as he was before. He's not as influential as he was because he doesn't have an apparatus at the scale of the Fox machine, right? So he may even get more views, right? Because I know you saw the TYT thing, right? Young Turks got denied. That they got denied their press pass, right?
Uh-huh.
And so Turk, he posted a video showing his streaming numbers in 1 month.
Right.
And his streaming numbers are higher than their viewer numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he gets a lot of they get a lot of views. Every day, pretty much they do. Yeah.
He's a progressive channel, progressive network.
Very progressive.
The views are off the chart. That, by the way, will tie back into my argument against you with the whole you and Roland Martin and the rest of y'all with this whole Democrat thing. But anyway,
hold on. Hold up. Don't get ahead of yourself. We do have the RNC coming up. I'm gonna have a field day. You best believe that.
You want to do the RNC too next week?
Oh, hold on. This is politics, man. There is a well, you're black, right?
I'm classified as black.
Okay, then I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. I'm an American.
Oh, you one of those? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
I'm a free thinking American.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of free thinking Americans that are so called classified as black that are very, 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 very open to voting for anybody but Democrats. Let me just put it like that. I'm not going to even say has anything to do with Biden or anything else. It's just I know that you don't have a high tolerance for the Democratic Party, and it's their own fault. To be honest with you, I understand it.
That rabbit hole, the political rabbit hole goes so deep.
It still don't justify the blind spot. The hatred that you have doesn't justify the blind spot that you feel for voting for whatever party. I mean, that's the only thing that I would say.
I mean, I'm flexible. I vote left. I vote right. I vote independent.
I will expose you. I would expose you after my sister Kamala get her talking points on. But let me listen to my black sister talk real quick. I'm gaslighting. Come on.
Having fun, man. Life is, it is what it is.
For the trailblazing leadership
Look at
of
sister.
Barack
Look at that
Obama
sister.
and Hillary Clinton. And these women
She
inspired us
what is that?
to pick up the torch
not
and
Mocha,
fight
but,
on. Women like Mary Church Terrell, Mary Cloyd Bethune,
What color
Fannie
is
Lou
it?
Hamer, and Diane Nash, Constance Baker Motley, and the great Shirley Chisholm.
You think she's gonna
We're
get
not
more time?
often taught their stories, but as Americans, we all
yep.
stand on their shoulders. And there's another woman whose name isn't known, whose story isn't shared, another woman whose shoulders I stand on. And that's my mother, Shamala Gopalan Harris. She came here from India at age 19 to pursue her dream of curing cancer. At the University of California, Berkeley, she met my father, Donald Harris, who had come from Jamaica to study economics. They fell in love in that most American way while marching together for justice in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. In the streets of Oakland and Berkeley, I got a stroller's eye view of people getting into what the great John Lewis called good trouble. When I was 5, my parents split, and my mother raised us mostly on her own. Like so many mothers, she worked around the clock to make it work, packing lunches before we woke up and paying bills after we went to bed, helping us with homework at the kitchen table and shuttling us to church for choir practice. She made it look easy, though it never was. My mother instilled in my sister Maya and me the values that would chart the course of our lives. She raised us to be proud, strong Black women, and she raised us to know and be proud of our Indian heritage. She taught us to put family first, the family you're born into and the family you choose. Family is my husband, Doug, who I met on a blind date set up by my best friend. Family is our beautiful children, Cole and Ella, who call me Mamala. Family is my sister. Family is my best friend, my nieces, and my godchildren. Family is my uncles, my aunts, and my chitties. Family is Mrs. Shelton, my second mother who lived 2 doors down and helped raise me. Family is my beloved Alpha Kappa Alpha, our Divine Nine, and my HBCU brothers and sisters. Family is the friends I turn to when my mother, the most important person in my life, passed away from cancer. And even as she taught us to keep our family at the center of our world, she also pushed us to see a world beyond ourselves. She taught us to be conscious and compassionate about the struggles of all people, to believe public service is a noble cause and the fight for justice is a shared responsibility. That led me to become a lawyer, a district attorney, attorney general, and a United States senator. And at every step of the way, I've been guided by the words I spoke from the first time I stood in a courtroom. Kamala Harris, for the people. I have fought for children and survivors of sexual assault. I fought against transnational criminal organizations. I took on the biggest banks and helped take down one of the biggest for-profit colleges. I know a predator when I see one. My mother taught me that service to others gives life purpose and meaning. And oh, how I wish she were here tonight, but I know she's looking down on me from above. I keep thinking about that 25-year-old Indian woman, all of 5 feet tall, who gave birth to me at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. On that day, she probably could have never imagined that I would be standing before you now and speaking these words. I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. I do so committed to the values she taught me, to the word that teaches me to walk by faith and not by sight, and to a vision passed on through generations of Americans, one that Joe Biden shares, a vision of our nation as a beloved community where all are welcome, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from or who we love. A country where we may not agree on every detail, but we are united by the fundamental belief that every human being is of infinite worth, deserving of compassion, dignity, and respect. A country where we look out for one another, where we rise and fall as one, where we face our challenges and celebrate our triumphs together. Today, that country feels distant. Donald Trump's failure of leadership has cost lives and livelihoods. If you're a parent struggling with your child's remote learning, or you're a teacher struggling on the other side of that screen, you know what we're doing right now is not working. And we are a nation that is grieving. Grieving the loss of life, the loss of jobs, the loss of opportunities, the loss of normalcy, and yes, the loss of certainty. And while this virus touches us all, we gotta be honest, it is not an equal opportunity offender. Black, Latino, and Indigenous people are suffering and dying disproportionately. And this is not a coincidence. It is the effect of structural racism, of inequities in education and technology, healthcare and housing, job security and transportation, the injustice in reproductive and maternal health care, in the excessive use of force by police, and in our broader criminal justice system. This virus, it has no eyes, and yet it knows exactly how we see each other and how we treat each other. And let's be clear, there is no vaccine for racism. We've got to do the work. For George Floyd, for Breonna Taylor, for the lives of too many others to name, for our children, and for all of us. We've got to do the work to fulfill that promise of equal justice under law. Because here's the thing, none of us are free until all of us are free. So we're at an inflection point. The constant chaos leaves us adrift. The incompetence makes us feel afraid. The callousness makes us feel alone. It's a lot. And here's the thing, we can do better and deserve so much more. We must elect a president who will bring something different, something better, and do the important work. A president who will bring all of us together, Black, white, Latino, Asian, Indigenous, to achieve the future we collectively want. We must elect Joe Biden. And I will tell you, I knew Joe as vice president. I knew Joe on the campaign trail. And I first got to know Joe as the father of my friend. So Joe's son, Bo, and I served as attorneys general of our states, Delaware and California. During the Great Recession, he and I spoke on the phone nearly every day, working together to win back billions of dollars for homeowners from the big banks that foreclosed on people's homes. And Bo and I, we would talk about his family, how as a single father, Joe would spend 4 hours every day riding the train back and forth from Wilmington to Washington. Bo and Hunter got to have breakfast every morning with their dad. They went to sleep every night with the sound of his voice reading bedtime stories. And while they endured an unspeakable loss, those two little boys always knew that they were deeply, unconditionally loved. And what also moved me about Joe is the work that he did as he was going back and forth. This is the leader who wrote the Violence Against Women Act and enacted the assault weapons ban, who as vice president implemented the Recovery Act, which brought our country back from the Great Recessions. He championed the Affordable Care Act, protecting millions of Americans with pre-existing conditions, who spent decades promoting American values and interests around the world. Joe, he believes we stand with our allies and stand up to our adversaries. Right now, we have a president who turns our tragedies into political weapons. Joe will be a president who turns our challenges into purpose. Joe will bring us together to build an economy that doesn't leave anyone behind, where a good paying job is the floor, not the ceiling. Joe will bring us together to end this pandemic and make sure that we are prepared for the next one. Joe will bring us together to squarely face and dismantle racial injustice, furthering the work of generations. Joe and I believe that we can build that beloved community, one that is strong and decent, just and kind, one in which we can all see ourselves. That's the vision that our parents and grandparents fought for, the vision that made my own life possible, the vision that makes the American promise, for all its complexities and imperfections, a promise worth fighting for. So make no mistake, the road ahead is not easy. We may stumble, we may fall short, but I pledge to you that we will act boldly and deal with our challenges honestly. We will speak truths, and we will act with the same faith in you that we ask you to place in us. We believe that our country, all of us, will stand together for a better future. And we already are. We see it in the doctors, the nurses, the home health care workers, and frontline workers who are risking their lives to save people they've never met. We see it in the teachers and truck drivers, the factory workers and farmers, the postal workers and poll workers, all putting their own safety on the line to help us get through this pandemic. And we see it in so many of you who are working, not just to get us through our current crisis, but to somewhere better. There's something happening all across our country. It's not about Joe or me. It's about you. And it's about us. People of all ages and colors and creeds who are, yes, taken to the streets, and also persuading our family members, rallying our friends, organizing our neighbors, and getting out the vote. And we have shown that when we vote, we expand access to health care and expand access to the ballot box and ensure that more working families can make a decent living. And I'm so inspired by a new generation. You are pushing us to realize the ideals of our nation, pushing us to live the values we share: decency and fairness, justice and love. You are patriots who remind us that to love our country is to fight for the ideals of our country. In this election, we have a chance to change the course of history. We're all in this fight. You, me, and Joe, together. What an awesome responsibility. What an awesome privilege. So let's fight with conviction. Let's fight with hope. Let's fight with confidence in ourselves and a commitment to each other, to the America we know is possible, the America we love. And years from now, this moment will have passed, and our children and our grandchildren will look in our eyes. And they're going to ask us, where were you when the stakes were so high? They will ask us, what was it like? And we will tell them. We will tell them not just how we felt, we will tell them what we did. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.
Are you still up? Paradox, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah, that is the VP candidate from California, Kamala Harris, daughter of an immigrant mother, Indian mother, and of an immigrant Jamaican father. That's the best that ADOS could have did this time around, but we'll see. Oh man, I could see why people get so triggered by Kamala Harris, man. It's amazing, really. Whew. So what you got, man? What's your first thoughts on the on just go in, man. Just say what you say what you say, bro.
I don't have
Yeah, you do.
Let me work on my deep voice. I don't. Let me not be high pitched. Let me not be pitchy.
You don't want to show too much emotion.
Right.
She could drag it out of you, boy. I'm telling you.
No, I'm not. I don't know, man. Look. At the end of the day, these are the people who are part of the Democratic Party. They selected. They selected who they selected. You know, I'm not a part of the DNC. Right.
Right. That's
you know,
for sure.
so it's so it depends on it depends on how you look at it. No, so I don't have I don't have a lot to say about it. We had a long conversation about it earlier.
Yeah, we did. But were you surprised? Well, I could tell you. Let me give my thoughts, since you don't really have no.
I don't really have an emotional hit right off the top. Like I said, it's just that this is what the Democratic Party wants to present.
Right.
So I'm not going to get into fantasy. I'm not going to get into spectacular thoughts, exaggerated visions of reality. Like at the end of the day, this is as real as it's going to get for you. Like this is what you get to see on the front end, and the rest of it you got to go research, on the back end, the things that you're not going to see. But this is the show. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how heavy can you go when they structured and set up and presented you a well-crafted, some people argue not so well-crafted because the ratings weren't that great on the last 2 days, but a well-crafted presentation for how America, deals with power at that level, right? This is how they present power. If you want to bring that in on while I was talking.
You said what now? You talking about Jennifer Hudson? No, she just got a loud voice, man. I haven't turned this up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she look at that. It's I mean, yeah, she just got that yeah, that tonsil, that microphone tonsil. Yeah, in her in her throat.
Hear her all through the house.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. You're gonna hear her. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. She's gonna nobody has to ask if Jennifer can be heard. She yeah.
And I seen a dude that we know on a TV show from the 90s, probably late 90s, a few days ago.
Stop playing.
Yeah, man. He's a singer that we know that sings all the time, but and I was like, is that this dude up here on this sitcom? That's funny. You know.
That we both know, me and you.
Absolutely, we know him. He's probably in his probably early 50s, maybe late 40s, maybe early 50s, maybe late 40s.
Does he wear glasses?
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Old, I know. Yeah, I know.
Haircut, fade, box cut.
Yes, I know.
I know you do, because I know where you used to hear him at all the time.
Oh my goodness,
I'm trying to do my thing here. You up here commenting shit. It's like
oh my god, it's just nauseating, bro.
So yeah, he was on a hit show.
Wow.
One episode. I just watching an old episode of some show.
And he was actually yeah.
Had lines and everything.
Yeah. I got you.
Singer on the show, so he sang. They had some other folks in there too. But I was like, okay, because I don't know why I thought I may have heard that before, maybe, but I can't remember exactly.
He actually spoke about it. Yeah, I actually heard. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
I was surprised how many people that we were around. There were actors, singers, all type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Even the one joint, she got movies and everything.
Yeah.
And everything. So it's kind of funny.
It is funny.
This area. It's so different a city to like other areas. It's so funny.
It is unique.
I would suggest people who live in towns to move. Move to the city. Or move near the city. You don't got to live in the city, but just get in the mix, because there's a lot of opportunity.
So now you city shaming? Is that what we doing here? We metropolitan shaming people. No.
I mean, living in a town with 500 people, living in a town with 10,000 people, and then living in a city with 600,000 people, and living in a city with 1 million people, and then living in a region with 6 million people,
right.
That are all interconnected. That 6 million are interconnected in some way through government agencies, etc. Yep. Contractors. It's all interconnected. It's all on the same plane.
That's
I could be in this area. I could be all the way over there in Pools.
That's the crazy part. Like literally, if you have lived here,
crazy.
I can connect to somebody that you either know, that I went to school with, been with, whatever. I know somebody that you're connected to. Like it's not even. That's why we don't even. It was so funny because me and my home was like, man, I don't even ask people. Like, I don't even have a school. I don't even want to know because as soon as I know, it's like, oh my god, like, we got to go down the whole list of a
lot of people, tens of thousands of us,
it's amazing,
have ran through similar jobs too after you leave college or whatever. Trade school, whatever you do. You'll find yourself working in spaces where if you move around enough, a lot of folks have been touched by like Keith Martin, or whoever, TNT or whatever. So Boeing, you'll come in contact with so many integrators. It's kind of funny, but
I mean, because you just think about it. Like even when we just go down the list, I just don't even want to bring it up, but it's just like, be like, oh yeah, so and so oh, you know somebody? Do you know this person? And it's just like, why did I do that? You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna go back and ask that person about me, and depending on how they feel that day, that's the kind of report they're going to get. So it's just like, it's just weird. I mean, it's just a weird thing here in DC. Just the way everything is. It is true. It's an entanglement. Shout out to Jada. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to
Jada. That word hot for real.
Listen, man, it's so weird, dude.
That word a lot. I never really even noticed it. Now I hear it. I think I picked up on it. It's used more than I thought it was used, honestly.
It's so weird. It's one of those things, man, where I was talking to one of my dudes, man. I was just like, dude, I just, man, I hate to be on any of these other social media things. And he said, man, you know, you don't even have to be on there, man. He said, yo, you know, my shorty saw you on social media on somebody else's joint. And she was just like, ain't this your boy? And I'm like, nigga, why you didn't even tell me? I was on, because I hate that. I hate being somewhere. You know what I mean? And then people just filming or taking pictures and they throw it up on their social media, and it's just like, and it's nowhere. We are living today, people. There is nowhere you can hide. There's nowhere you can go. I mean, it is. It is what it is.
You heard about, I don't know if you keep up with a lot of this other stuff that come on TV, but this lady named Sweetie Pie, she's a real popular, she has like a soul food restaurant and a TV show.
Yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah, out of Memphis, right? They're out of Memphis, correct? Are they out of Memphis or Atlanta?
I don't know, somewhere.
Yeah, okay. I know you're talking about though. Yeah, they got a restaurant.
She opened up some stuff out in California. But anyway, her son put a hit on the grandson. The nephew, because he put out an insurance policy on him for like $500,000 and had him killed, right? The young boy got him up the streets, you know, that whole process, you know, try to get him straight. The grandmama.
That's actually real.
So anyway, I brought that up just to say that he had burner phones. And for some odd reason, he thought burner phones is a real thing. On a digital network. This ain't analog, dummy.
Which touches satellites and all that type of stuff, like bouncing off satellite. You know,
ain't no. I mean, it is a way to do it, but it ain't that type. I only brought it up to give people a real example of, you know. Like
he thought he was being smart. He thought he was being covert or something. Yeah,
he thought he was.
Right.
Yeah, they got all that. They tracked all that down. You know.
So he had his own son killed. Is that what happened?
No, nephew.
Oh, yeah, the nephew killed. Wow. What the hell, bro?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's beyond disgusting, man.
But
and you just set up a whole family dynamic in your family where they're going to be uncomfortable forever.
Yeah, they're pretty famous TV wise, and they have a couple of restaurants and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the show that they have. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's real life, but you know, I don't want to get into that. So look, if you could do me a favor, I know that we're talking about the convention. I think something is a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
That if you don't mind pulling up, and we can get back to the election. I just want to.
What you want me to pull up?
If you go to abcnews.go.com. I was telling you about Operation Legend earlier.
Yeah.
Saw that, but the ABC, I guess everybody's picking it up now, but it's on my feed with ABC News. Attorney General William Barr announced that nearly 1,500 arrests so far under Operation Legend. And this is the I don't know. And again, don't get me the line. I don't know if the federal government can just go into state and just do the stuff that they're doing. I don't know if the governor and the mayors have to say it's okay to do it, and I don't know if there's legal things in place that that the federal government can declare something and go into to cities. Clearly, this is an election year. I mean, he had 3 years to do quote unquote what he's doing. But they're leveraging it's very obvious what they're doing, right? They're using the George Floyd / protest, politically trying to say, hey, because you know the right wing always going to say the Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, you know, what are you doing? Guns, violence, da 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 da. Democratic that he's been touting, and so me politically, because of where we are right now, it makes sense for him to obviously National Guard. Back to what we talked about with the crime bill. Everybody wants to pretend that black folks, let me not speak for people, right? But people, if you ask them, do you need the military here, the National Guard here? I mean, I've heard it all my life as a yes. You know, yeah, you need the military up in there. Like that would change things. That would solve things. I've heard that before. Not saying everybody in those areas agree with that, but there are people who do agree with that. I don't know what the numbers are if you had to vote on that. But anyway, they didn't have that option to vote, right? So the federal government, I'm assuming the federal government has done this. I don't know if you have it up yet.
Do you want me to go to the actual website, ABC News?
The article is I don't even know what I'm looking at in a sense, because
could you send it to me? Because I read up on it before too. It may not be the same article, so.
Oh, it dropped 6 hours ago, so it's probably the same.
Oh no, well no, it's not the same one. I'm talking about this was like 4 weeks ago. The one that I read, I remember it, but I just didn't bring it up because it was.
Yeah, I think they just went into effect 2 weeks ago. Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
They went into effect 2 weeks ago. I think that's what. I don't know how long they've been doing. Let me not say that, but I know they were talking about actually going in 2 weeks ago, and so I wasn't sure if I think it's news that's probably going to be covered up. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Get it on out the way.
But the thing is that they locking us. I don't care about this stuff when this is happening. I don't care. I don't even want to talk about it in a sense, because what happens is that the Democrats will have me looking at this, right? It could be the Republicans or whoever. They both locking us up. We're both getting locked up, and some people aren't in that world. They live where they live at, you know. So I get it, obviously. Type of stuff, maybe. I don't know.
Is this the one with William Barr talking about it?
They just he's not talking about it. Well, the news article. I'm about to send it to you now.
Okay.
You want to go to the email?
Well, I think I already have it up. I'm on ABC News, and let me put it in the background, see if you can see it, and you just let me know if this is the one. I think it is, though.
Yeah, it just said the attorney announces they just announced the arrest that they've made so far.
Yeah, 1,500 arrests. Right.
So that's it. That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Hold on for just a second. Let me see something.
Yeah, I just wanted to read the article anyway. I don't care about what they.
All right, so we can go ahead and get started. If you want to go ahead and read the article, we can get that started.
Well, it's just saying that I think he announced Wednesday, which is I guess today, right? Today. That
this is 6 hours ago. Hot out the presses, man. This is
your top cop. Is that how we put him at the top of the top? Is he the top of the top?
Yeah, he is the nation's. Yeah, he is the supreme attorney general for the nation. Yeah, correct. He is the top cop.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how.
If he wants.
And I'll let you speak to that. I don't know how black people or people in general feel about this type of stuff. Maybe it's important to people. Maybe it's not. Maybe people don't see the correlation. Maybe they do. Just all of it. Just how we're portrayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because for whatever reason, this country has been able to compartmentalize in a weird way. I'm going to say good blacks and bad blacks to keep it simple. On some level, right? Because Obama would be the check, technically, right? You know, you keep saying we're X, Y, and Z, but then Obama will offset that, right? But then at the same time, they're still able to drive that narrative though. So as strong as seeing a black person with a black wife with black kids in the White House for 8 years, scandal free that we know of, should on some level maybe somewhat offset, maybe even cover up. So we can't even see what they're really doing to us because it had no impact. Like I don't know what the impact scale is on those 8 years relative to all local media and all national media painting black men as, what did Hillary call us? Super predators.
Super predators, homie.
So it says 1,500 arrests across eight cities. I don't know the 8 cities. I know
Chicago's one. You know that.
Or Kansas one, right? Yeah, I know they're gonna probably be in Chicago and Baltimore.
Right. Maybe Philly.
Okay, so it was 6 weeks ago. So they did launch it 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Of those arrests, the Justice Department approximately 217 defendants have been charged with federal crimes. What do you think those are? Most of which are drug and gun related. You know what's so crazy though about that is that it's as bad as that is from a street perspective. On a more liberal bend, it's kind of like, so you locked up folks for drugs and guns. I know there's actions behind that, but it's still weird to me that it's not. It's almost like you think you can solve that problem. I would put it that way. Like that shouldn't be why those environments are the way they are. If that makes any sense. Let me rephrase it. I know for a fact. No, let me not say that either. I don't want to get too touchy with that, but I would just say that just because there's drugs and guns in a place, to criminalize that, I have a problem with. I'll put it that way. That's just my opinion on that. But anyway, drugs, gun-related charges, right? We don't have any real details, I don't think, on that. Homicide charges against more than 90 defendants. So they done arrested, and this is the other problem. Do we know if any of this is even accurate? So now is the ACLU going to jump in, or other people going to jump in to try to protect these people, because they do such a great job of identifying you as something, and there's so much juice behind it that, like, if you want to try to defend it, it takes like a certain group that can just put it this way. And you tell me if I'm wrong or not. I'm gonna make a casual statement. Do you think most black people are okay with this, and that most black people will say they deserve to be locked up? Just on a casual level.
Well, it depends on whether you are part of the Blue Brigade and you have an agenda. Then you're going to look at this and you're going to say this is just a continuation of, tough on crime, hard on victims of communities that live in these actual areas where they are actually left to no other choices. And then for those that believe in social responsibility and accountability, and things like that, that's going to probably be down with the RNC. They're going to be like, they're down for this. Get them off the streets.
You think the DNC is against this?
No. What I'm saying is, if you're down with the Blue Brigade,
the Blue Brigade, got you.
The agenda is something totally different than the actual lawmakers that's covering.
Is this a trick bag for us on some level? Meaning, like
that is always. That's my point. That's always been the trick bag. I mean, Nancy Pelosi has been a lifer. All these people that you see there, I mean, people get, I guess they get kind of glamored by the presidential, position, but there are like over 200 and, but I want to say 232 House of Representatives, like over 98 senators that's here in the States. I mean, there's no getting around it. This is a group effort.
Tell me this. Trump says, I'm sending agents in, period. The mayor said, all the mayors, Democrats, say no. What does that mean?
Absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean anything on that kind of level.
And what I mean is that my gut sometimes tells me that Democrats want black people to be poor and suffering. And they want to keep us in that pocket. That's just how I feel. Because it doesn't make any sense. I'll put it that way. For what exists to exist, in my opinion, if you really care about me, it doesn't match.
Right.
It doesn't match. And when Trump says, "Hey, I'm going to send agents in to help out," because right here it says they assisted state and local authorities to bring a homicide charge against 90 defendants. Right? How do you think the federal government could get that done, but the state and locals couldn't get that done? How did they do that? In 6 weeks, right? Then it says that's more than 90 suspected killers. These are suspected killers who might still be on the streets without Operation Legend. That's out of Kansas City, Missouri. So who do you think those people are? Do you think you have an idea? I don't know Kansas people like that.
I'm sorry. Let me make the correction. There's 232 Democratic people in the House.
Right.
That's the number that I'm fixed on, but it's 435 in total.
Yeah, 430. Yeah,
So,
435. But they have the House by how many? 54 now?
No, they only have it by 34.
34.
Yeah, 34. Then there's one libertarian, and then there's 4 vacant. So even if they make up that number, they still probably won't get the House. It'll be very difficult to get it.
Yeah. This time around.
Yeah. So the House is Democratic, but the presidency, of course, is still the executive branch. So there's executive, legislative, and judicial are the 3 branches of government. So the executive side is Donald Trump. The judicial side, of course, is the
appointed judges
and the judges. They're appointed, yeah, exactly, by the representatives that are in place.
I mean, they got to get approved.
The legislative branch.
You know what's so crazy about that though is that it's not black and white. Like none of it's black and white, and it's so weird because if a judge comes through and the president wants to judge, right? Mm-hmm. Congress doesn't have to give him the judge. I don't know if he can override that, but or go to court over that. But the Congress can stop. The Senate, I'm sorry, can stop. If I'm not mistaken, they can stop the judge. They can make him pick somebody else. But I think a lot of that's done in the background anyway. So you don't see that circus happening on live TV. You know what I mean? The short list and all that good stuff. So they already kind of know. You know.
Yeah, they know once they appoint someone whether it will get approved or not. They got to go through an hearing still. I mean, everybody does to get cleared.
Yeah,
vetting process. But if they have trouble doing it, then it's always blowback, depending on how many people are really trying to push through.
Because there's judges right now, right? There's judges right now that are being told, "We're gonna, we got you." They're just waiting for 2 people to die, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Retire.
Correct.
Yeah.
And see, to me, that's one of the most important. One of the most important parts of the executive branch, because they do the hiring of the federal or the judicial side.
Yeah,
they're appointed. On the federal side, they are appointed. So
but that's what I mean about. I think I'm listening to people argue about voting or not voting and whatever. But you do have to be a lot more sold into the American system to make that sense. I think because you have to have the tolerance. Because I think a lot of regular people, want to go to work, live their lives, have their kids, and just keep it moving, right? Not a lot of don't necessarily want drama. You may have enough in your family, or you may have enough at your job. You don't want to add politics and how that works. You want to keep it simple, so you may vote on very specific issues. And I think that, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think that black people, like everything else, we get too much put on us. We get too much put on us. So, and I'm gonna use race as an example. You can be a white person maybe, and be a one issue voter. Now, I guess you could technically be anybody.
Absolutely.
But the pressure's different. If I'm a white voter and my whole position is abortion, or my whole position is the church, right? Or my whole position is the taxes. You know, Grover knows.
Immigration,
You know,
farming,
Grover
farming.
does 100%. He says, I don't care about nothing else
Yep.
but taxes.
Facts.
Don't care. Don't
Mhm.
care. And he's able to build a coalition that says, we're focused on one thing. I don't care what's going on.
Right.
I don't care if we win, if we lose, who's in, who's out. I'm putting this pressure for taxes on everybody, especially the Republicans, right?
Mhm.
And it's a drumbeat at the state level, at the federal level, at the local level. And that's just how he approaches it, right? A part of me sometimes, and like I said, I could be blind to something, but a part of me is sometimes is thinking that for us as a group, and maybe other non-whites, as a kind of get forced into like multiple things, right?
Yeah.
So
Caring
you can't
about issues that don't have anything to do with you. Yeah. I agree. That's
Okay,
what
so
I
I'm
mean
not
about the agenda. No, but see, that's the thing.
Lord,
Republicans can always see. Here's the difference between the two parties, like what we was discussing. I think this was yesterday. If you look at the parties in particular, the way that they're functioning at this present moment, one is reactionary, one is proactive. So the proactive party, of course, is the Republican Party. So the proactive party always put out things that they project. They do propaganda. So they sell an idea, but they don't really promise you anything. So you can't hold them to nothing. So even though you're gonna see the differences between RNC, they're gonna talk about jobs and things of that nature, but it's gonna be mostly a hit campaign. But then what the left do, and what Democrats do in particular, they guilt shame, and they push an agenda, and they push an agenda to kind of put it like it's an all-in inclusive thing. But everybody that may vote for that particular party shouldn't have to be all in on all of these ideals because you are supporting that group. So just because, hence, let me give you an example. So just because you support abortion and I'm supporting, say like immigration, doesn't mean that because I'm supporting immigration or because I'm voting strictly because of that, doesn't mean that I should automatically be pushed into accepting the agenda of same-sex marriage, abortion, whatever the case may be, that I may not have anything to do with. I don't subject myself to the ideology at all. But that's what happens when these parties are built this way. So they're reacting to everything. So everything is basically like, oh no, you treated this person this way. This is what we need to do. We need to gather up sources. We need to fight. Whose side are you on? That kind of deal. You see what I'm saying? And it's like this guilt trip. So if you're not on this right side, so that's not. But see, Republicans, it's not none of that. It's not any of that. You can vote for one thing. If it's taxes. If you're against abortion. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to guilt trip you like we all part of the same thing.
Our boy
T, do your thing, and we'll go with that. You know what I mean? That's enough for us.
Well, our boy T says that they're the same party. Could that be why it's set up? They're able to accomplish that goal because they are the same?
What people say, the flip side of the coin is that yes, once they're in office, they are an operating government body. That's true. They push and pull. What we're talking about is the campaigning, the people, how we react to these parties.
But what I mean is that the Republican Party can let voters have one issue because it fills those voids, but it also it allows the Democrats though to run game and to box us in on every position. Is what I'm trying to say. It's more strategy as a collective is my whole point.
It's interesting because yesterday Joe McCain's wife spoke, right? And she spoke about how Joe Biden and John McCain were very, very close. I would even say this, that most likely Joe McCain, and Biden probably share more commonalities as far as policies, presidents, family structure, everything more down the line than say him and Obama. Like they have way more in common as far as being two white men, two conservative type of white men. It's not they just serving on two different parties, and that's what they was discussing.
But they're both from England.
Right.
Let's get it real, right? Let's get it
right.
Both from about 1700-ish time frame, late 1700s, something like that.
Yeah.
They families have been here generationally.
That's facts.
Are they both blue bloods?
They both will be blue bloods. That is accurate. Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not part of the 1800 transitional
right.
immigrant class. And see, that's the thing, because if Joe Biden had more of his senses around him, I just don't think that he's real sharp. He's just, his mind is not working like it should be as far as running for presidency. And it's good probably that they can't go on the road, because that will probably wear him down mentally. Traveling like that, being on buses, doing like 2 to 3 speeches a day. Like sometimes they make about 2 or 3 cities in one day sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to speak at 8 o'clock in the morning, then you going somewhere else. After that, you shipping off to somewhere. You got to be there by 2 o'clock, and then you there another city somewhere else. So it's good that most likely they could do a remote to kind of get him his rest he needs, because he's going to need it, because he's going to have to save all his energy for these debates, because I know that he's not working, as far as mentally, like he was probably say like even 4 years ago. Hell, even 2 years ago, he's not as sharp as he was. You could tell.
Yeah, he's probably lost significantly.
Yeah. So that is one of the major concerns. One of the things that I can look at that was if it was a plus from Kamala's speech, is that she got the identity thing out the way. Because if she did not do that, they was going to keep hammering her about what it is, but she don't say that she is, and that, and people are going to still do it, but you still have to say it. My mom believed this is what I was, so it comes out of her mouth. So no stories can basically be told outside of what she's actually saying. I think that she wrote her book, her biography on her life, but when she became like the Attorney General of California, where she basically said the same thing that she said tonight. But I think a lot of people just haven't been able to kind of put that 2 to 2 together, because I think some places she's identifying solely as Indian without mentioning Black. And I think she does the same thing when she's in Black spaces. She just says that she's a Black woman without mentioning that she has an Indian mother or that she has Indian roots. So it just depends on how you want to nitpick. That's what I'm saying about the reactory thing. And I think the reason why Black people lean to the Democratic Party, especially now, the new iteration of it since the 60s, is because it was the victim party, so to speak. Like, this is where people go to try to express their grievances. This is the party that's going to listen to you. The Republican Party is not operating like that. That's not the way it operates. It operates on its own merit. Okay, what kind of person? Who are you? What do you do? That's the only way you're going to get a voice here. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not listening to your sob story. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to hear a lot of sob stories in the RNC. I doubt. In fact, I want to put some money on it, but I'm just curious on how many stories you're going to hear about. Well, my dad was a Trump, or a supporter or some sort, and then all of a sudden he did this, and that's what happened. Like the victim thing. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not going to be something that I think that the RNC is going to push. They're going to push jobs, successful. We were successful.
Look, Apple
going to be crazy. But I cannot wait. I cannot wait. An
American company, right? 1 week before the RNC, Apple has topped the Saudi Arabian company, I think Aramco, the oil giant, to be the most valuable publicly traded company on the planet. Right? Before the RNC. So I'm just saying that that's where they're going with everything. They're going stock market, economy, pressure on China, the border on Mexico. It's
money making,
entrepreneurship, gun rights.
Yeah.
The bar thing that we just trying to. I didn't want to. You don't have to finish it, but just the art, just the thing where we were just reading about with the Operation Legend.
Getting from
also, he gave everybody $1,200. He gave you $600 for 13 weeks or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
The coronavirus, and I'm gonna tell you what they're doing too. That's very clever, disgusting but clever. It has some validity to it too. New York had a problem with the coronavirus, right? Coming out of Europe, from what Cuomo says, right?
Right.
When you look at their rates and their numbers, and then you look at red states, if you want to do it a red-blue thing, yeah, New York is way worse than everybody else, even to this day. So they're able to spend that. When you look at the per capita per 100,000, I think New York was at like 167 per 100,000, and a lot of other states are like 50, 30, 20. So they're leveraging New York and New Jersey and that high death rate that they had in other states. They're not looking at the combined number, of course, across the country. But anyway, so they have all of that, right? And he let black folks out of jail. He has a prison reform bill, if I'm not mistaken, right? What is it called? It's on here. Actually, I was just reading about it. It's a part of this Operation Legend. It's actually a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? I think we should read exactly what Operation Legend is, so people that listen to this program could at least get an idea of what it is. So I mean, if you want, we can read the article. I don't think it's that long. Yeah, it's not that long, the article.
Well, I was just skimming through it. It's not that heavy. They're just locking up a bunch of black people. Is what this says.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree.
All the rest of it is just buckets of words. Like at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Donald Trump, and not locking up what they would call good black people. These are the bad black people. These are the black people that black people are apparently okay with. I don't know what's going on, bro.
The so-called, well, see, it's the same thing. I mean, okay, so would you say is not as robust, and the problem is not as deep as the crime bill? But wouldn't you just oppose something like that as being something as his first crime bill that he's going to run on, and that's going to be the focus, the black inner cities that are left?
The thing is, the Democrats opened that up, because when Donald Trump said about 2 years ago, because if you get a chance, we can play that video of the sister from PG that is running for office in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that when he said what he said, that resonated instantly. And because that's how he kind of, he does a lot of things off his gut. I know that he got people who analyze things a lot, but he throws things out there to see what happens.
Yeah, he does.
And when he said what he said, which I haven't heard anybody say, left or right in that way, I knew it was going to resonate instantly. Instantly, because it's facts. How do you have Democrats in these cities? The state could be Republican or Democrat, and how do you have ghettos forever? And we know why. We can get to all the actual numbers and how that happens, and how people get moved around, and displacement, and all that stuff. We can get into the meat of that. But on the political level, it's straight up, right? It's like,
well, you do a quick snapshot of it. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, no denying it.
So then what happened? In my opinion, this is from me watching it, I didn't see anything. Democrats didn't respond.
Right. That's
why I asked you what I asked you. A part of me keeps feeling like the Republicans and Democrats play these games with poor people and everybody, as they play their games. But poor people tend to suffer the most.
Of course.
Are they letting that happen? You're just letting it happen. I don't know what the answer to stop any of it is, but I do know that most people in those areas aren't criminals. But I do know that people who do crime or maybe affiliated with certain situations exploit those places because of how they're structured.
Absolutely.
And so is the Democrats trying to some kind of way, by locking all of us up, somehow try to like I said, I can't even explain it.
Well, no law.
I can't explain it.
Here's what I want to tell you though, man, because this gets lost. No law gets basically written just by one party.
Right.
The person that proposes it, they propose it, but it has to get nullified, reviewed, things of that nature. Go through is all its whole jurisdiction thing, and then it gets reviewed, and then it gets funded and things of that nature, and it has to get passed by a significant amount from the other party. They have to pull you, no matter whose agenda it is or whose reasoning for getting a law passed, the reason for it. That means that both. That's what I'm saying. The reason why people say they're the same, because they govern the same. At the end of the day, they agree to govern the country a certain way, regardless of whatever. Yeah, regardless of whatever you believe in, as far as the parties are concerned.
How you feel? I'm gonna read Operation Legend right now. While I'm doing that, can you pull up Fox News?
You want me to do just the YouTube page or?
Oh, it's not streaming, is it? Never mind. They don't stream Fox News on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah, they do. Of course.
Stream it live? I didn't know they did it live.
I don't know if they do it live. No.
I want to play a little bit of Laura Ingraham that she has on to sort of respond on the political level, because they're calling it the United States of Socialism. But that's this guy who they just brought on, this Indian guy, Dinesh. He be on all the time. He wrote a book called The United States of Socialism. It's funny. But I think he's a political guy too, if I'm not mistaken. He does a lot of economic stuff. Not political, but economic guy. But he's on. I think they had the pastor on and some other folks on.
In fact, I got your girl Laura. She did some commentary on the DNC already. You wanna kind of pull her up and hear what she got to say?
Who, Laura Ingraham?
Mm-hmm.
Is it her live stream that she's on? So she's on right now. She's doing the reaction to the speech.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I got it already pulled up. If you want, I can go.
Yeah. You can do that while I'm gonna read a little bit of this. But Operation Legend, this is coming from Wikipedia, so take that as it will. But is a federal law enforcement operation in the U.S. initiated by the Trump administration. The operation was named after the 4-year-old Legend. Oh, that's I'm sure they spelled that crazy. Legend. Legend Taliaferro, who was shot and killed in Kansas, Missouri on June 29th, 2020. Operation Legend was implemented by Trump deploying federal troops to crack down on violent crime in the wake of the George Floyd protest. So Trump is responding, right?
Yes.
To black folks being killed.
That's why I wanted you to read that. Yeah.
Operation Legend, agents from various federal agencies were deployed to aid and assist city and county law enforcement officers. Now, what's so funny is that mayors have been yelling, "Don't come here," right? Mm-hmm. They came out and said that, so I can't make that up. Now, I don't know why they're saying that. Is it political or whatever? But if the federal government is telling you, "Hey, we're going to come help you," yeah, it's going to look good for him. It is what it is. But you probably need to get. You probably need some. You probably need to help. Probably.
Well, they don't want to be a part of when it goes bad or when it's looked upon as being something that is similar to the 1994 crime. Nobody wants to make that mistake again. You ain't gonna ruin my political career for my lifetime. Who wants to do that? You know what I mean? That's and that's what I'm saying. Even though they're gonna still accept the help, they're gonna still have the funding from the federal government that's going to come through.
Despite them pushing back.
That's what I'm saying. But they can still say it and just put it on record. I was one of the ones. It's almost like signing the bill for the Affordable Care Act, right? Because there's a lot of Republicans. They still have to sign it. That's the only way it can go through. So they pushed and pushed and pushed. They changed the language, did everything. They made it to the point where it wasn't even actually beneficial. It just pulled the private sector and made them more money, which is what the actual benefit was from the Republicans. They knew that that's what it was going to do, and it worked. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, even with something like that, where everybody wanted to try to get it as close to being single payer, it ended up being something that's just like another light, very, very
they led us to the
light light
insurance
HMO plan, basically. Yeah, very
They're
light
looking to the
HMO plan.
slaughter of the insurance companies.
Right.
Period.
So it ended up being just another another United Healthcare or Aetna or any of these other companies. Basically, is what it ended up being.
I was so excited that corporations would not have that control over you no longer. You could hustle,
right?
But have health care. Bare minimum, you can go to the doctor, get
I
a
think
checkup.
a lot of people don't know that healthcare is a dream killer, man. That will make you take a job that you do not want in a minute. It will make you take a job for your kids and all that. Everything, in a heartbeat.
Your health is everything.
Parents are sick. All that.
In a society, of course, in a society,
killer, man. It's a dream killer. It really is, man.
In a society that has the wealth to do this, it's definitely a dream killer.
Yeah.
To be fortunate enough to live in a society built off our backs, to be able to, and with the technology that we've created, to be able to even have that option.
And see, this is what makes the Democratic Party so insidious, is because a lot of the grievances that they built their party on is off Black people's grievances. It's off the Civil Rights Party, because that's what built it after 1965. That's one of the things that made this party what it is now. So it's encased into that, but it's all about victimization language, which a lot of people don't like to hear. And frankly, I think there's a lot of Black men that don't want to have that kind of message attached to them. So
how do you want to play this with Operation Legend? What side can you be on? Because in my opinion, you take 1,500 people off the streets, right? There's 1,500 people that's going to fill that void.
Right. You're right.
So politically speaking, I get what Trump is doing. Solving the problem, he is not doing.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't care about solving the problem either. That's another thing that needs to be talked about. See, it never gets. That's what I'm saying. You never get to actually. Nobody ever gets to actually criticize Republicans outside of just what they do wrong and the hot spots. But you can't get into their policies because everything is all woven into what we cannot do or what we haven't been able to do or what we can't get done. That's so you stay on those issues, and it's always like you got your hands out. You just want this. Do it for yourself. Make a way for yourself and pay for your own insurance. That's something that is not a right. It's a privilege, and all this type of stuff. So,
but like you said, what you left out is that there's organizations that leverage the government as well. If we literally could get rid of all organizations and it was just the people, you may have more of a chance. But like.
Yeah, but how are you going to do that?
But if you're a part of if you're a cop and you're a part of the union, you can't be touched.
Right.
It's all about the people and the individual. Nah, not that.
No.
Every cop organization don't have a union, and they'll just fire your ass.
Exactly.
Yeah. Once you get under that union, you're just protected at the end of the day. They have ways and avenues and money and leverage to get you out of whatever you're doing. So it's tricky because race is the driving force, but the technical stuff is really not about race. It's about how it's structured that you're trying to dismantle, right? Get rid of the unions, and just in general, the people who work in those environments have less power. We know that person.
I just wish us as Black Americans or the Black people that happen to be here in 1965, no matter where you from, during that civil rights movement, if you was being discriminated against, that's enough for me. I just wish we just went our own way. We didn't join the Republican Party. We didn't join the Democratic Party. We just gave them two big fingers and we just did our own thing, third party, and just had a solid agenda for the last 50 years. That way we can go into this, head first. But when you get played by both sides, man, we're played. We're played with. We're literally played with, and there's no win because it's all. That's what I was telling somebody.
Individually, there could be some win on an individual level.
A bad choice. It's all a bad choice.
Well, I would say
when you get somebody, I'm saying when you get somebody that's voting Republican, normally what they're going to say, I'm voting for this particular reason. I'm voting for this particular reason. I know that he's this. I know that I don't care about none of that, but he does this for me as far as what I can get done. If you're talking to a black person, I mean, and then that black person most likely is going to juxtapose the agenda that the Democrats push as an overall thing, because it's not just one thing with the Democrats, it's all the issues. So we're all inclusive. We all going to sing kumbaya, and there's no practicality. It's no practicality to the policies because it always seems like you're always asking for something. So at the end of the day, people don't look at how sufficient or how ruthless we have. Ruthless Democrats in the House. In fact, the House Democrats are probably way more ruthless than the toothless Republicans. That is a fact. I'm not talking about on the government level, because on the governor level, I think it's the opposite. But as far as the most ruthless on the Hill in the House of Representatives, oh yeah, Nancy Pelosi is a beast, bro. She was a beast even when Newton and them was still there. They didn't even want to deal with it then. Didn't like it. Yeah, when she was the minority whip, like that was something. Yeah, that was. I mean, it is what it is, man.
I wish I could get insight on why she's good. She's good though. I wish I could get more insight on why she's so good. But you'd be surprised. People love her though. Not the politicians, but the labor force. So.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. She doesn't get into the agenda piece as much, except during these campaigns. But most of the time, she's on the Hill trying to get things done and trying to get laws passed, things like that. Because she don't really care about the numbers. She's gonna be like, "Well, who are you? What can you do? Do you get down and dirty?" And I think that's the reason why she's mentoring somebody that's like her, like an AOC, because AOC seems to be that kind of basically talk crazy, do whatever she's gonna do too.
Knowing people who know her and people who are in that world, just regular people though, they love these people. People don't even understand how crazy.
Yeah.
Like when you meet them and you're like in these rooms and you're helping them set up things and doing different things for them just to get them going for their office or whatever, the personal part of it, it's just weird in a sense because
let me give people the names again. The Speaker of the House, which is the number one position of the House of Representatives, is Nancy Pelosi, right? Mm-hmm. The majority leader is Steny Hoyer. The minority leader is Kevin McCarthy, Republican. The majority whip, we already talked about him, Jim Claiborne. And the minority whip is Steve Scalise. We know who he is, out of Republican. And then the dean is Don Young. And I would guarantee you that none of those Republicans would say one bad word to Nancy Pelosi. I guarantee it, bro. I guarantee it. And see, that's how things get flipped. That's what I'm saying. Because see, on the campaign trail, nationally, it looks like the Republicans are the most practical or the most ruthless ones. But when it gets down to governing the people that get elected, especially like at the House level, the Democrats are the ones that run the show. They don't like Sheila Jackson in there. They don't like Maxine Waters up in there, the way they talk, the way they act. They can't control them. So you know what I mean about control is just the talking points or speaking about things where they're trying to get a law passed or whatever they're trying to do, whatever agenda that they're trying to push in office at that particular time.
You know who she reminds me of sometimes? This is a bad example, but not Cheney. What's my guy? Rami Rumsfeld. She's not like that, but she reminds me of Rumsfeld, but like in a totally different way. If anyone used to watch Rumsfeld give speeches and talk, it's just like it doesn't matter what I say. Like I'm just like that he's just saying what he's supposed to say. Yeah. But you got to be careful because if you say something wrong, he's gonna check it. But like it's like he handles you as what you are. Mm-hmm. He don't give you the feel good, I'm gonna paint this picture for you and make you think that I care about what you say as a reporter or as whoever.
Nope.
Nah, I don't do that. Nah, she don't do that either. She's like, you don't understand.
I don't care where you're from, how many people you know. But I don't care about none of that. What can you do and how can you get things done?
Yeah. And then she be flexing on him. When she be at home in San Francisco in the big house, man, she be flexing. I said, "You a rich bitch, boy. God."
Man.
Big brain, driving big cars.
Yeah.
Like you think about it. They always joke
Right.
about hip hop artists. I said, do y'all understand how stupid you are? That you think that these people are ballers? That you're confused by watching music videos and people have gotten you caught up in that nonsense as a distraction. These
Absolutely.
folks are balling. They live in large.
Absolutely.
I mean, diamonds, everything, like access to castles and being flown all over the world on private jets. Like none of that stuff gets talked about. You worried about what Rick Ross is doing. You think that means something, and like how they try to paint like musicians like a certain way, in the political world. And I'd be thinking to myself, well, hold up, don't all the governors live in mansions with servants? Don't these people, they talk about Tekashi and all those guys with the private. I said, don't all of them have private security that we're paying for?
Right.
Don't they all have multiple homes? And don't they all get invited to hang out with billionaires? So who's more of a rapper? Is it the politicians or is it the actual rapper? It's genius how they present themselves. But if you start digging into the numbers, all the senators are millionaires. That means something. That means they have big giant homes.
Yeah, access.
They have
right.
golf memberships and to exclusive clubs, and they can fly all over the world and hang out with Jeff Epstein and smash little girls and little boys.
That's why campaign financing is such a big deal. That's the reason why who can raise money and how many people are in their pockets. That's the reason why certain laws that cannot get
But what I mean is that I feel like we all should spend more time with our congressmen and senator people and focus on them and them balling out, and spend less time about worrying about what rappers are doing. Is my whole point. And ball players, like, it's a distraction in a weird way. Like, years ago they didn't have that kind of money. The governors obviously lived well as when they were in their governorship. Yeah. But historically, they didn't really have money like that. But once they started to get money, like real money, 7 figures, 8 figures, and 9 figures.
Some people in the house, man, I remember that some of them were staying in hotels out here, like hotels and small apartments out in Arlington.
It was a struggle. Some of them still struggle. But I think even now, once you get hired, I want to say, at least at the federal level, they bump you up to what, 400, something like that, 300, 400,000. I don't remember.
Like around 200,000. Yeah.
They didn't double that. I thought they doubled that number.
They may have had, man. I thought it was around that level, around 200, low 200s. But you may be right.
They get paid. Right. I mean, it's all public information. It ain't hard.
They're getting. This is their salary, but they're getting more money outside of.
For sure. I'm just about the salary though.
Right.
Right. No.
You're talking about the house, right? Or we talking about the house?
Yeah, right. No, you're right. So you're right about. Okay, so she's getting around 200.
Yeah, because technically the president is supposed to maybe get like $500,000, but
yeah, he's getting more.
You take that how you want it. You know what I'm saying? Close to it. Yeah, but yeah, something like that.
I thought they had bumped all their numbers up.
If you think Trump is not still operating business in the White House when he's not supposed to be, he's supposed to be governing. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's just weird, man. Because like I said, I can't. There's so much fugaziness that goes on with both parties. It's very difficult to even fix my lips on how to even characterize who you can even support, because it's all smokes and mirrors. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the reason why you can't make it a one policy deal, because one policy deal doesn't really, that's not what that is.
But do you think overall, if you was not a non-white person, would you say overall as an American in current times, if your family's healthy, that you're probably okay? Like, you're not worried about a lot of things. A lot of things are kind of autopilot. Because a lot of things are autopilot, right? On some level.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some other non-white people that do that.
What I mean is this: do you have to worry about gas and oil, regardless of who you vote for? Is what I'm trying to say. Like stuff like that.
No.
Do you really have to worry about invasions, depending on if it's left or right? You have to worry about, you kind of work your way down that list to where certain things, I would argue, might, depends on, like I said, individual people, some people care about everybody, some people care about themselves, regardless of what your race is, right? So you got to deal with that part. If you care about the environment, right? You may have an issue with Trump repealing bills to allow you to drill oil in the Arctic,
Right.
in Alaska, offshore. Even though Obama did some of that offshore too, he passed the pipeline, both of them, to run through the Midwest down to Louisiana, up through Canada, up
Mhm.
through the little bit of land that the natives have left in those areas up in Iowa and
Yeah.
but anyway,
Fracking on native soil.
right, fracking. But again, as a common citizen, that because I feel like the people on the left is trying to wake you up, like a conscious person in the black community, right? They want to wake you up. They want to tell you that, oh, you know,
Exactly. It's the
the
same
car that
thing.
you drive is killing the earth, and
That's
your
correct.
the paper your kid uses in school cuts all the trees down, and we're destroying the rainforest, you know, in
Yeah.
Brazil. So they're trying to make you conscious in their own way, right?
It's identity politics at its finest, man.
It's-
It's identity politics. This is the right thing to do. And it's crazy because that's what I'm saying. Like, they have lost whole elections because of it. Whole elections. Because you get people up there that don't really care about that. Like Hillary Clinton can give a damn about any of that.
Hey,
She
damn about
governs. She governs. She's as cutthroat as any of those other Republicans that you see up there. Like I mean, as bad
Again,
as
private
Donald
jets-
Rumsfeld and Newt
private jets
Gingrich
is
and all of them.
all I gotta say. Private jets, mansions, champagne,
Well, what I'm saying
6-star
is-
restaurants, 7-star restaurants, hanging
It-
out with the Saudis, hanging out with the
It's-
United Arab people. You know, they live in large. They over in
But it
Beijing
exposes-
and
It
Singapore and
exposes the
large.
it exposes the hypocrisy. You got one party that don't even try it because they don't have to, because you're doing all of that. So they gaslight you the whole time. And they don't have to promise black people nothing. If any black people, if we're doing anything for black people, it's just by accident, it's by happenstance. We're not doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
There ain't gonna be no black agenda in the Republican Party. You can forget about it. But would there be an agenda about entrepreneurship? Yep. Would there be an agenda about recidivism, getting out of jail and getting a job placement? Yep. I mean, things of that nature. That's going to be what they're going to sell you, but they're not going to make it race-based, gender-based, none of that stuff. They're going to just speak to what you're doing. And a lot of people like that.
Mitch McConnell is the
Man.
is the majority leader in the Senate, right? His net worth is
Yeah,
$22
he
million.
is.
He's from Louisville, Kentucky. How he get $22 million?
Oh,
Now his
boy.
salary is $250,000 or whatever it is.
Right.
But he's sitting on, but his net worth is $22 million, right?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah, how did he get there?
How do you accumulate that wealth? And I mean, how does that shape your behavior and your thought patterns about the world you live in? And you know, Nancy's around over 100 million.
Mhm. I know that. She got a couple of wineries out in California.
Oh, she rich for, well, you worth 100 million. I mean, you're rich. Like,
Yeah,
it's
generational now. Yeah.
Like AOC to me should never speak to her. She's so obscenely wealthy.
Yeah,
Because
AOC.
her husband has a what does it say, a venture capitalist firm.
Yeah, I don't think AOC is even a millionaire yet. I doubt it. Very seriously.
I doubt it, but I think Nancy gonna make sure that they fix that probably.
Right. People. Yeah.
How can you think about something? You support the Democrats. They supposed to be for the people, and the person who has some of the most is the third person to the presidency, who runs the House of Representatives and has run it for multiple. Well, this is her second or third time running it.
Mhm.
It's worth over $100 million that we know of. How does that those things? And matter of fact, even Michelle Obama probably pushed. She's probably up there now because of her book, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mhm. Tours, books, speaking engagements.
Yeah, I think she might be in that. And I know Bill and Hillary is up there. If I'm not mistaken.
And I think
But
she
these
has
guys
worked.
have went from being. I mean, they don't come from poor. Well, Bill does. Hillary doesn't come from poor. These people aren't necessarily coming from poor families either, right?
Mhm.
And so I know some are and some aren't. I don't know how many are coming from very poor families. You do have a lot of it in the House, more so obviously than in the Senate. But these are career politicians who are worth millions of dollars, and it's like you said before, we're voting for people, and I'm not sure if it matters. Maybe them having that kind of money doesn't mean anything. Maybe that means do a better job. Maybe the country is a better place because of that. I don't know though.
I just wish that we would become a little bit more literate about the way the government works and how laws are passed. But I know it's too hard for people to focus on that, so we stick to it's either we're highly emotional one way, or we're swinging the other way because we think that we're right about whatever stance we're standing on at that particular time. And I'm talking about people that's
what do you think
classification of black, put in the classification of black,
because a lot of black people, male and female, have other agendas about making their money.
A lot of black people, a lot of us are not interested, man. That's it. I mean, I could just look at my own family. A lot of us are just not. When it comes down to that, it's all about.
Just tell me who to vote for. I don't want to think about it, right?
It's not. No, it's not even. But see, this is what I'm saying. Like when somebody's like, I don't want to vote for Trump because the next thing they're going to say is he's a racist.
Right.
They're going to say that like that absolves Clinton.
Right.
Even President Obama and the policies that he put out there. Joe Biden, my goodness. I mean, we can't go into the crates and start trying to compare records, because once we do that, I mean, anytime you've been in government that long, that's why I was telling you. John McCain and Joe Biden, they're sitting up there writing and throwing back some some Bud Light, during the crime bill in their younger Senate days when they got that bill passed. You think there's going to be any kind of resistance when Republicans want to get that kind of bill passed? That's a robust crime bill, because you got to remember, from the 80s, from 1980 to 1988, it was the President Reagan ran, right? Mm-hmm. One thing that he was basically hard on was what he was saying: war on drugs, criminal activity, welfare queens, stuff like that. Even though he's the king of welfare and killed it all at the same time. I mean, and it's amazing, because you build something up and then you kill it all the same. So all of these public facilities and welfare, I guess options that people had back in the day were all under Ronald Reagan. I mean, we all knew that. SNAP and all that. We knew people that had government cheese that can get like government assistance all through the 80s. We grew up during that time period. We was kids. So we knew people where they had welfare benefits. Like that was a thing. Free lunches at public schools. That was all under Reagan. But then, to find out in the second term and then to try to kill all of that, that's what ended up happening. It's almost like you build to destroy. And it's one of the things, because he had that oh shucks kind of deal with him, that nasally voice, hey, I'm Ronald Reagan, I'm cool, and people loved him, even Democrats. It was man, that map that you sent me that you think that Donald Trump is going to get it's not going to be that red, but it was that red when Ronald Reagan ran for the second term against Mondale. Oh my God, Joe. I don't even think it was the whole nation was damn near red. It was a rout, bro. It was so bad. I think by the time they called that joint by 9 o'clock our time, bro, it was done. It was a done deal. The presidency during that time period, man. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a reason why people react the way they do to certain type of policies and things of that nature, and we are seeing it hook, line, and sinker, and we respond, but our responses is not very informed, and it would trigger someone basically regardless of whatever side of the aisle that you're on. You're going to get triggered by hearing another black person say this. So if you hear a black person saying that I am not going to vote for Biden and Harris, What's wrong with you? Well, you ain't gonna vote. Da, da, da. They're gonna try to guilt you into voting. You know, they're gonna do the rolling on you. You know, the rolling get. And then if you say, well, I'm going to vote for Biden and Harris, they'll be like, oh, why are you doing that? You don't know the Democrats got you in the bag. You know, you don't think. You just all emotional, this and that other. Well, no, really, I'm voting for this particular reason, this, and I think this is the way that we would get closer to this, and this. And then that's when you can get into a little bit of back and forth, but people are going to still call you, you know, being leftist and being, you know, all emotional for voting for them also. So it's a no-win, man. It's a no-win situation with us, unfortunately. So that's where it's at, man. It's I love it. But I can't really have discussions with people that are not at least a little bit knowledgeable about the political process. You don't have to be like a civics you know, or a political science major, anything like that, but at least have some kind of idea about politics. At least a little bit.
Little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a strong position the way that some people do, they have strong positions, but it's basically both. It's like I said, both sides. I wish that we gave a finger to both parties a long time ago, and we had it could have been, you know, the Black Progressive Party. We could have been called that. Literally, we could have been called the Black Progressive Party. And Jesse Jackson, even though how problematic he basically, you know, left the Democratic Party and said, we're going to create that. And then, you know,
you think people know how much
Alan Keyes was back in the day. So he's an old school progressive. Most people don't know him, but Alan Keyes is like.
People know how much fighting happens in parties when you're trying to do a party thing, like how much fighting goes on.
It could be like the Green Party. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be all kinds of fighting.
What I mean is that I feel like I would love to do that. I wish we would have been doing it, have done it just knowing
too much money involved now. It's like it's not a doable thing now. It's too much. It's too many people. We got too many people that represents us, that's enforced into our classification that are issues for us.
Yeah, I think
that's the reason why it would be an issue.
Yeah, well, we have to filter our stuff probably through people who got money. Probably. I mean, I'm only going off the Tea Party. I use it as a sort of a springboard because the Tea Party, a lot of middle class people, right? And that's mixed in there as well.
Who was one of the strongest proponents for the Tea Party that we can look at today? That's in a high.
Well, they switched it. Well, I mean, Trump would be the one for me, but they sort of switched over and called themselves something else. And then people have tried to say that part that isn't really happening anymore. It's this other thing that's happening now. But I always use Trump as the main person to represent the party, because it seems like if you go back and look at the 17 candidates for president at that level, none of those people represented the people who started that movement years ago. That goes for Kasich. That goes for big boy up in New Jersey. What is his name right now? Chris Christie. Yeah. That goes for the lady who ran Hewlett Packard. Whatever her name is, she was one businesswoman. The other businesswoman, I think, ran eBay or something. So they had a couple of business people in there. Then they had a whole bunch of a couple of governors from some states in the Midwest, and they didn't really hit for some reason. They seemed like they just did not understand that the Tea Party or type people in that mindset was going to make this happen, right? Them selecting a billionaire is what I'm saying that was surprising to me.
But see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I'm trying to tell you is that what they have to come to the realization of, because it's young Republicans at the time that have an idea about basically creating a true conservative party, which means that they mean conserve, limited government, deregulation, all of that was one of their major tenets. And what they what they come to find out is that instead of getting their hand out of the pocket, everybody's hands are in the pocket. That's just the way it goes. So we're just talking at this point. The ideals are the ideas. You know what triggers Tucker Carlson? You know what triggers him the most? Is when you expose the hypocrisy of the Republican Party, and he's sitting there and he cannot say anything else to combat it. Because once you compare it and contrast it to being very similar to the Democratic Party, which it is in governing this country, then that's when, because it all comes down to, why are we doing big government things, right? And we already talked about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
We already talked about Ronald Reagan. Now, what's another thing that Ronald Reagan did too during the 80s? Now, we remember the movie Scarface, Annie, all of these things. Immigration. What boosted during times that we was kids? Cuba extraction during that time period.
Yep.
People coming from Mexico.
Yep.
Well, doing all that type of stuff. Man, come on, man. That's all under his watch. And then extended under Bush, because Bush came in right after. He was clear, though, he's the last president that has left a lasting legacy. But like his footprints is all over the House. Well, more so the Senate, the Senate, the judicial. Go ahead.
So Trump, you may agree or disagree, I don't know. Trump funded his own campaign.
As he should.
Trump did not need the traditional people, I would assume, that normally funds campaigns when he started running, right? He did it on the cheap, on some ways. Who knows what he did, but he did it somehow. He beat, when you think about it, Ted Cruz, U.S. Senator, right?
Punished him, yep.
Mark Rubio, U.S. Senator.
Wet behind the ears.
Ted Cruz is Texas, so we got to think about these now. These are the big. These are the to me
money
the
in the pocket. Yeah, money in the pocket.
Ted Cruz, Texas
Florida,
Senator.
Cuba.
Mark Rubio, Florida Senator. John Kasich, Florida Governor of Ohio. Right? We're just those three. We won't even do. I'm not even going to mess with Jeb yet. We'll stay jabbing them for now. Donald Trump, a game show host. Right, I'm gonna water it down a little bit. I won't get into the history. We'll just say game show host, right?
A Reagan crack. That's
Reagan.
what he was. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Democrat as well, right?
Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah. Basically, he got tired of all of the Democrats that came in with the deregulate. That's what you stopping them from you're stopping them from making big money, taxing him and stuff like that. That's a lot of the reason why he ran. But go ahead.
Ted Cruz, Mark Rubio, John Kasich.
Right.
Knocked him out. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you think about this is not in any particular order. I'm just thinking about power, money, endorsements, who's backing whom. Just thinking about their level, their pedigree, their legacy. Jeb Bush knocked him out. Mm-hmm. Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, right? Chris Christie.
Oh my goodness, there's Chris.
Lindsey Graham. Rick Perry.
Not really a formidable opponent, but I got you.
Rick Perry.
Scott
Walker. He's knocking down governors like it ain't like dominoes and senators. Think about something. A game show host is knocking down people that the Republican Party, they love these people.
They do.
They love these. These people have cut taxes. They stopped abortion clinics from being opened. They've punished illegal immigrants. They've locked up Negroes. They've hit all. These are some heavy hitters. These are some heavy, like if you look at the 16 people that he beat, that should not have happened. If someone says in 2010, if someone said in 2014 to me, hey, I mean, I know what I know, but if I didn't know what I knew, somebody said, hey, I'm going to list out these people. I'm going to say Donald Trump, I'm gonna say Donald Trump, and I'm gonna say Ted Cruz or Chris Christie or Mike Huckabee or whoever, right? Rick Santorum. I'm gonna put that up against Donald Trump. You would laugh. You'd be like, yeah, he's gonna get smoked. He's not even gonna make it. Like, how is that even possible? What country do you see that I don't see? Is my whole point. I'm trying to tell you. There's a new country that exists out here.
Here's what I want to tell you.
That people literally leapfrog. We're talking about veterans.
But let me tell you where they got weak at. When he was able to go hard on immigration, especially in the states.
He went all the way.
Because those guys are in unique places where they cannot go that hard and still govern peacefully. States like Texas, Florida, you know what I mean? Yeah, those two in particular, even Jersey, even New Jersey with Chris Christie, those are places where you can't just be willy-nilly about, talking about immigrants that way, where damn near half of your constituency of the state talk Spanish. Like that's facts. And Trump don't have a record that you can hammer on outside of his business practices. So he went ham. Now he does though. See, that's the difference. See, to me,
I don't think he was able. Nobody's really respecting this. So they're trying to pay.
No. I think
you know who this man took out.
It's galvanized. I think now.
And
I think now he's not gonna be slept on. People going to take him seriously, bro. People going to take him seriously. No, man.
If you look at what we just watched, if you look at what we just watched, right on the surface, bro.
That's
right on the surface, what we just watched, you would think Trump was trash. Do y'all know who he beat?
No, that's not. So that's not what you saw, though, man. That's not what you saw.
Let's see who Biden.
What you saw, man. That's not what you saw, bro. Trust me, that's not what you saw. What we just saw was a pep rally. That's what we saw.
Who could Biden beat on that list? You think 1-to-1?
The list you just gave up.
John Kasich, Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, Ari Federino, Christie. Who do you think?
In a general election?
So let's say this. So say if Trump's not in, this is a good exercise, I think. Trump's not in it, right? Trump's not in it. And one of these 16 candidates won the presidency. Beat Hillary Clinton. Maybe she wouldn't.
I was about to say that Hillary just would run then, because she
was. No, what I'm saying is that they would have went against Hillary and Trump. If they would have beat Trump, they would have went against Hillary. My point is that we'll take Hillary out because that Biden should have ran, not Hillary. Obama and whoever's in the back room said, "Dude, you got to chill because I promised that." I'm making up his story, right? I promised that.
Next. Yeah.
And okay, fine. The DNC is bitching and complaining. Because he may even said, "I want you to go," but they won't let us.
Right.
You see, it's like, look,
because that's continuing his legacy. See, that's what all presidents want their legacy to be. Because the last time we had a legacy president, because Clinton didn't have Al Gore get put in, that was a failure for his presidency. Yeah, that's a failure because he was supposed to be next. He was young enough. He was vibrant enough. He had an agenda, which was the environment. He's all about the environment. That was his whole deal. That was Al Gore's thing.
Al Gore lost Tennessee and Arkansas. He didn't know what he was doing.
It was ugly.
He lost Tennessee and Arkansas?
Yeah, he lost his base because he went too environmental. He went too East Coast with it. And that was an issue. That was the issue. He took it for granted, basically. And when George Bush come with that down home and eating pie at the diner and shit,
from the North,
gonna lose. That's what I'm saying. Family blue bloods from Connecticut, by the way of Texas. So he got the plug. I mean, it was just and not only that, he had the brains. He had the brains in the background. He had Karl Rove and Dick Cheney, the brains of the operation. All he had to do was just bring his name. That's it.
Plug and play. Bring the name. Plug and play.
Bring the name.
Kid.
You a legacy game. This is continuing. This is continuing Reagan's legacy, basically, and he used that. Colin Powell served under Donald Reagan and all that. So I'm going to put you on.
Rumsfeld, the Attorney General,
Yep.
all of them. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. That was like the conservative renaissance, man. That was like it was the Democrats haven't been able to succeed or create a legacy, man. I mean,
well, I will say this. I think
since LBJ, they can't do it.
I think Bush created, because of how they ran the government, though, they created the Tea Party. So and Occupy Wall Street.
That
was a failure, but the Tea Party.
It's based off Karl Rove's policies. Karl Rove's policies of
because it didn't do anything for
regulations,
white, really, in my opinion, middle class white,
for the rich.
Yeah.
And putting money into the private sector. Halliburton. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So you think that you think if it was 2016, you think that if Biden would have ran, you think he would have been able to beat a Ted Cruz or Rubio or Kasich or even Jeb, for that matter?
Yes.
They thought Jeb was ready. That was terrible.
I think he would have beat them because he has the roots. He would have still, and he was still in bulldog mode. He was still sharp.
And coming off of Obama too.
Sharp. Yeah, he was still sharp. Like look what we did. We did this, and he could stand on the record of jobs, unemployment being very, very low at the time, which continued when Trump got in office, but it was still trending down. Everything was on a good note as far as that was concerned. He could have rolled on that.
Yeah, at least on the surface, the economy looked satisfactory on the surface. It had a whole bunch of problems, but
people wasn't struggling. Yeah, people were doing all right, man. Yeah, from the early 2010s. Yeah, on the surface, we're talking about a certain amount of people that mostly vote. So that's what we're talking about.
And he hooked up folks with health
insurance. Nothing changes for poor people. I don't know if people understand that the governing body are not talking to poor folks. They are on the agenda for Democrats, and then Republicans loathe them, so they just ignore them. So one group ignores you, and then the other one basically panders to you. But no, you are not going to get taken care of. No, not overall. So that's not a thing. So if you've been struggling and you are part of that particular class where you're the lower economic, lower social economic kind of income, you're going to possibly remain there until you decide to do something else with your life. Go to school, do something like that. Hopefully, they got some kind of plan or funding for you to do that. But
do you think that's where race?
There's nothing else left for you.
Do you think that's where race confuses people?
People
kind of get caught up in this whole.
Well,
you gotta work, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's your fault.
No, I think people get confused about there is a such thing as there is a correct way of saying, well, nobody actually has to be poor here. That is correct. There are certain things that you can do, certain programs that you can get attached to make a decent living for yourself.
How many Black people do you think believe in progressive a progressive agenda?
Less than 10%.
That makes over
less than 10%.
40, 50 grand a year.
Less than 10%.
Yeah.
But I think 90% of us do have one of those particular agenda points, or say like one of the things that they're pressing as something that we really do want to rock for. But like I said, when it's an agenda, it's everything. It's not just it's not just one thing, it's everything that you got to accept. So I got to swallow gay marriage. So like when you vote for the party, you got to accept all of it.
Right.
That's the bad part with the Democrat Party, because they're going to make you swallow it all. The feminism, the same-sex marriages, if you ain't rocking with that. So like a lot of the churches, that's where they had a lot of conflict at. But the only thing that they could say about the Republican Party was, they made up this nebulous term of just, well, they're just racist. They don't care about Black people. Well, hello, Democrats don't either. They just pander to you, and that's what I'm saying. So that's the reverse.
Would you argue in this
for the past 20 years?
In this system, though, can't you remove race and still get the benefit? You don't have to interject race. It don't exist. And what I mean by that is, even though I'm going to be impacted statistically, you can use race to generate a number. But if I just live in this country and don't even think about race and just plug myself into the environment, however I do that, even though it will be race based, my point is ignoring that as an individual and just saying, okay, you know, I'm 14, I'm in school, okay, I want to be a firefighter, or I want to be an engineer, right? Or I want to be a politician. Do those avenues exist for me regardless of economics and race? And I think the answer is yes.
So let's see if we can kind of delineate the difference between somebody speaking from a practical point of view and still basically attacking the DNC without emotions, and see if it goes point by point without basically filtering in race. So let's see what Laura Ingraham has to say, and then I can answer your question a lot better. I haven't seen this, by the way. So let's watch this.
I didn't see this part. I saw some other stuff. I don't think I saw this one.
Yeah, this is new. Like I just pulled.
I got it on right now. I think I missed some of it.
Okay.
But go ahead and hit play. That's cool.
All right.
Once again, this was all sizzle, no steak at the DNC. So they trotted out the party's last global superstar, their last two-term president, Barack Obama. But that just ended up reinforcing what the entire country already knows. Joe Biden is no Barack Obama. Now, Obama's almost 60, but he still has the swagger. You see it. He's one of the most talented politicians of the last 50 years.
Go ahead here, pause 2 seconds.
I understand why.
Pause for 2 seconds.
You see what I'm saying? She needs to be prime time there, because like I'm telling you, Laura is smart, bro. Because she conceded the point. Now a lot of Republicans won't do that, but she's right. She ain't said no lies, dude. It's a fact.
She wants to smash. If she wants to smash.
Oh, that too. Oh, you already know that. Yeah, you already know that.
Jeez, nutsack, sweetheart. Anyway, my bad.
A lot of Americans are down on government. I understand why a white factory worker who's seen his wages cut or his job shipped overseas might feel like the government no longer looks out for him, and why a black mom might feel like it never looked out for her at all.
But of course, they tried this, almost the same lines in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, and they failed miserably. But Democrats think Joe's in a better place than Hillary was because Joe has two running mates, Kamala and COVID. But two problems with that. Kamala, she's too radical for most swing voters. You hear her talk about structural racism tonight. And COVID is beginning to fade in the red states where people go.
See, that's why race is the blob.
Wow.
That's why race is the blob. You see what I'm saying? Dog whistle in the pocket. Dog whistle. It's
what's that
radical followed up by race right after that. The R&R of it all. Not even another word in it was R&R, literally.
You know what I hate about that though? That does cause a lot of confusion. He's not honest about the race stuff. Like it's radical, meaning that
think about that. She's the most in the pocket of all of them at Fox News. So you can imagine what everybody else is going to be saying. Tucker, Malcolm is going to probably be just salivating, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's always about that. So you saying, can we eliminate it? How?
Yeah, Tucker says systemic racism doesn't exist.
There you go. There you go.
They consider the race conversation a left-wing talking point.
Right.
They're not even trying to talk to you in a real environment. I mean, they're talking heads anyway, so they have a job to do. But they don't neutralize race. Race is like abortion.
Right.
Instead of saying
it's a fantasy, it's a talking point. It's something that you made up. It's all in your imagination. You're making it a lot worse than what it is.
I wouldn't have
racist people. Yes, are there like racism, systematic racism? No, absolutely not. That's the talk.
Now they're saying that because Democrats say that, so they're just doing the opposite.
Right.
The sad part is that black people are caught up in that wave, like you were just saying a few minutes ago about the blob, and so people think it's real. They don't know that this is political talk. They don't know that like political talk isn't necessarily real.
Absolutely not.
This is how they communicate. This is how they spar. This is how they go back and forth. This is kind of how it works. Then it manifests into something real, obviously. But I think, including myself, sometimes forget that they're just talking politics.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's continue.
Mates, Kamala and COVID. But two problems with that. Kamala, she's too radical for most swing voters. You hear her talk about structural racism tonight. And COVID is beginning to fade in the red states where people going back to work, going back to school, playing football. And they know this. But back to Obama, their star tonight. Now, if you think you're getting an Obama third term with Biden, it's important to take a reality check on what he actually accomplished. His trade policy encouraged more outsourcing of American jobs to foreign countries. He supported the Trans-Pacific Partnership, remember that, which was so unpopular, even Hillary Clinton walked away from it when she campaigned. And Biden, disingenuously, of course, claims he'd change it. Obama's health care plan was so unpopular that it led to his party losing its House majority in 2010. Obama's DOJ ran roughshod over religious liberty and was eventually smacked down by the Supreme Court for doing it to the Little Sisters of the Poor. Obama's immigration and border policy made it easier for illegal aliens to come here and get government benefits from schooling to food stamps. This kept wages down for working class Americans as well. Obama's foreign policy blunders led to the rise of ISIS and a China unchecked and unchallenged. And then came 2016.
The reason I'm here is because of President Obama and Joe Biden. Because if they did a good job, I wouldn't be here. I enjoyed my previous life very much, but they did such a bad job that I stand before you as president.
He is 100% right. We already had 8 years of Obama, and the end result was an America First Trump presidency. So Obama's pixie dust that he was sprinkling tonight was more like sand in your eyes.
I'm in Philadelphia, where our Constitution was drafted and signed. It wasn't a perfect document, but embedded in this document was a North Star that would guide future generations. A system of representative government, a democracy, through which we could better realize our highest ideals.
Now you see the little presser down below, right? Attempts to co-opt founders they seek to erase.
Yeah, of course, because I'm gonna tell you something. The Democrats jumped ship on this whole protest stuff. They out of there.
And that's what I mean. That's what I mean about reactatory, man. That's what I mean about reactatory, because
they play you out though. You gotta be very. You gotta sit back.
You gotta stand on it, man. You gotta be able to stand on it. And I think that they're afraid that America's just not. America is not really about that overall. Like, there's too many people here that don't believe in the radical left. There are way more radical right people than there are radical left people
that are truly confident in their radicalization. Though they're all the way in. A lot of them, they're kind of they're kind of one in, one out sometimes in a lot of things.
Even the left, even the leftist channel like MSNBC is trying to try to be like a little bit light on it, because they don't want to come off as rude, being basically like that. That's why Cenk left. That's why Cenk left MSNBC, because he wanted to be a portion of what he wanted to be, just as right as Fox is. He wanted to be as left as that is at MSNBC, and they were like, "No, we don't do it like that here." Yeah, that's not what we do.
Scarborough starts out their morning for 3 hours.
No, there you go.
15 years.
And he probably gets paid the most out of everybody there that does a show at MSNBC.
Because liberals don't watch TV; they read books. Republicans TV and pay and buy shit on the internet and
ad sponsors.
Dumb shit on TV.
Listen to radio all day. Yeah, listen to the radio all day. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a tricky thing, because you kind of got to know that as well.
Yep.
At the end of the day, and the guy who runs I don't know if he still runs NBC, but he's good friends with Joe. But Joe brought in that conservative vibe to kind of kick off the show. And then guess what they bounced it up? They butted it up against. They put it up against my girl. She's from the stock exchange. I can't think of her name right now. Redhead. And she comes on right after that for another hour before they get to Andrew Mitchell. And Andrew, I don't think she's really that liberal, honestly. You know what I'm talking about, Andrew Mitchell? Andrea Mitchell.
Yeah.
She's almost a straight reporter on some level, really. You know, she's kind of like a Diane Sawyer type in a weird way.
On MSNBC, right? Yeah, absolutely.
The redhead comes on. She's a money girl. And so she kind of really do money. She go liberal, left here and there, but she money. So you got to think that's the first 4 hours. And then Andrea Mitchell, I think, is the 5th hour. And then you go neutral from around 11 or 12 to like 5. Uh-huh. You know, Jank and the white boy used to come on. The fat white boy with the red hair used to come in. They both left for the same reason.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Yeah, I know.
They came on the 4 and 5. Yeah. Anyway, that's all pretty much washed. And so now you got, well, I won't even name them, but you know, you got the big 5, I call them, which is Chris, Joy, Lawrence, Rachel, and your boy Ari, who starts it out early afternoon, and they just run down for 5 hours. And then Brian Mitchell, Brian Williams closes it up for you. He don't be talking about shit.
No, he's just tired. He's just reading a teleprompter. Just put it over the teleprompter. That's it. I'm in and I'm out.
He's a Ted Koppel guy, so he don't really have no opinion about anything.
I'm in and I'm out, man.
He is what news used to be, though. Just read the shit that they're doing. Like, go to the Pentagon, read what they said at the Pentagon. Don't add your sauce on it. I don't want to hear it. No, just tell me what the Pentagon's up to. Right. Tell me what the the State Department's up to. Tell me what
Believe it or not, CNN is more left than MSNBC is now, to be honest with you. When you got Cuomo, Don Lemon, what's my man name with the glasses? Van Jones.
The Vanderbilt boy? Oh man.
Van Jones. You got the United States of Shade, whatever, however he does.
I'm gonna tell you the Vanderbilt kid. You know who I'm talking about, right? I see you catch on.
Who's the Vanderbilt kid?
The Vanderbilt kid. That's the real legacy, and he's probably the biggest legacy kid that we know of on TV. Really, truly is that we know of. Maybe there's a couple
CNN?
Kennedys out there. Yes, of course.
Anderson Cooper. Cuomo. Oh, Anderson Cooper.
He's the white person on the news.
Yeah, they are. They way. I think
Mother is stupid famous in the big world.
At least 3 of them all are like outwardly. Yeah, homosexual on that. Yeah, on that program. So it is. Yeah, they way. Huh?
Yeah, him and and they're out. They're more out. Him and your boy.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper and Don Lemon.
Yeah, they're definitely way out. But I will say this. That's not true. I take that back. They behave. They behave correctly. I take that back. That's not true. They're not being themselves. I take that back. That's not true.
Yeah, they're not flamboyant with it, but I mean, they still got commentary on it. Joy Reid ain't even like that. Joy Reid ain't even like that at MSNBC. Not at all, bro.
You know that they're gay. I would just say this about the gay people on TV. You know that they're gay, but one thing that people who are not gay don't know is their lifestyle. And if they lifestyle, if you really knew how they live, trust. And they know this, by the way. Right. Trust and believe. It ain't what you think it is.
No.
It is different. It's like a different group of people.
Different personality.
Like they might as well be. They might as well be in China. They might as well be Chinese.
Yeah, different personality, no doubt.
Totally different. Their views, thought patterns, how they communicate with one another. That's some other shit. But they cover up pretty well, I think, and they behave on the show.
Mm-hmm.
In my because
in the pocket for sure.
I don't even know if conservative gays even really. I guess they do exist on some level. I guess.
Of course they do. I mean, shit. Dick Cheney's daughter is gay. Yeah, they.
No. I don't mean politically though. I mean in reality. Like they're
in reality.
There any gay prudes?
Yes, in reality. Hell, I think that. Well, they had like a little gay scandal back in the day when back in the Republican office back in like in the early 2000s, man, where they used to do all that crazy stuff for Union Station
well,
and shit like
again,
that.
yeah, of course. What I mean is that I know people who are pretending not to be things and they're doing things that come off proof.
Oh, you talking about?
No, I
outwardly
mean real.
still.
I mean real prudes. No, I'm not talking about the fake ones that are pretending to be prudes. What I'm talking about is, I'm talking about sexual behavior. And I'm gonna get off of that, but I'm just making a point that in the quote unquote straight world, you have actual prudes, women and men who don't really want to have sex, don't want to talk about it. They have either no numbers or very low numbers. They're just not into it. They're just very, they was raised very prude and they accepted that programming. And you know what I'm saying, right? Like they haven't been turned out. They just are super square, not into anything. Those people exist in the straight space.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very dynamic culture within the straight world. I hate to even say it like that, but that's the world that we live in, right? In those other worlds outside of that world, I was wondering, because you just had me thinking about it for a split second, because I'm just thinking of the complexities of it. Do they have any prudish people? Because remember, this is a sexual behavior. This is not a culture or a civilization, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're just another branch. They're just another branch of sexuality. So my argument is it even impossible? Can it be possible to have that dynamic when their situation is based off of sexuality, in my opinion, not based off of a society or a cultural, outside of this culture that they already are a part of, and they're just a branch of it. You know what I'm saying? They're not their own complete, unique, almost like if you went to a society of all women, then whatever that was would be what it was, right? But women, but this society is male dominated. We built it, we run it, etc. But they're trying to get access to something, so things are being set up for them to be able to do certain things. If that makes any sense. And that's not even a sexual thing, but some of it's sexual. It's more dynamic. But as far as the gays and the trans and all that, the other stuff, they tend to be outliers in a sense, or off, kind of a branch off, gay, straight people, obviously. Because I mean, if we don't exist, you don't exist. You need it's like you need us to create. You got science now, so I guess you don't even need humans. But historically speaking, you need straight people for gay people to exist, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or trans, or whatever the hell you want to be, dressed up like girls, or however you want to slice that. So I was just wondering, because no one really understands in our world, in my opinion, we don't really have an understanding, including myself, how crazy that shit is when they get in their own space and there's no checks. Remember, we have checks, right? In our culture,
we do.
We have checks. We what you can and can't do. Act this way. Be careful. We have all these things culturally.
It's been passed down.
You were offshoot of that. I would argue that you have no boundaries, because we went from gay to gender fluid, right? So now, hey, it doesn't matter what you are. We have nothing. It's called nothing.
Agreed.
So I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. This is definitely very, very insidious on some levels. But you can't talk about that no more. So it is what it is. My bad. I didn't mean to get off on that. I just find that situation very, very deceptive.
Mm-hmm. You want to finish up? You want to finish up this video, or you want to kind of like move on from it?
Go ahead and hit play. I really want to stream some of the Fox News, but you don't have the stream. I don't think they have a stream on the internet.
I don't think they do either.
Because your boy,
that historic set. Thing was beautifully lit and everything. The references to the founders, cute, but we know what's going on here. And remember what his most rabid followers were doing to our history, our historical markers for the past few months or so.
Mount Rushmore is really a national symbolism, a symbol of white supremacy.
Questions have really been raised about Thomas Jefferson in particular, but also George Washington.
The statue of Christopher Columbus was removed.
I don't care that much about statues.
Theodore Roosevelt statue is coming down in New York City.
He's a liar.
People are making a statement about equality. I think it's a healthy expression.
That's the darkest skinned white man I've ever seen.
Why didn't they try to take down that museum too then? Well, tonight we saw once again, this choice is clear. The panelists will get into all of this, but if the Democrats win,
Gotta do the panel.
donors are going to get their cheap foreign labor again and the
Yep.
chance to ship more jobs overseas again. And if the Democrats win, the social justice warriors, they're going to get to program the schools, pack the courts, and re-weaponize the Justice Department. A third, far more radical Obama third term, but without Obama and all his star power and all the celebrities. Only the destruction his policies left behind.
Yeah, it's like
I think he may have smashed Laura at this point.
it's it's the propaganda piece, man, that they elevate so highly on, because they're hammering all the weak points and not saying the reason why people are saying these things that they're saying about these statues. Forget about that. That's not, that's not important. This is the most.
Yeah, Nancy dismissed it, and Cuomo and them kind of dismissed it because they cannot go down that rabbit hole. The country's way too red to even play with that stuff.
Right.
You can't touch that. You can't touch none of that.
No.
Let them wild. Let whoever's wilding out. You let them wild out.
If Fox even begins to even do something like that, there will be an issue. You have to give red meat sort of to those that want to salivate on.
On the police. When I heard that, I was like, "Oh my God! Did y'all say that out loud? What is wrong with y'all?" That is just one of the dumbest things you could have. People like, yo, y'all out of y'all that. And I know for a fact that black folks ain't saying none of this. So this is coming from left white people, and they are out wilding.
Yeah.
They wild. If it ain't from left wing whites, it's right wing whites, white pretending to be left wing, and pushing some of these things there, because to say defund the police is in America, one of the most violent countries on the planet, that don't even make sense. It's not a peaceful country. I mean, we can go look up numbers right now around the world. There's countries out here who are very peaceful, right? Cops don't have guns, very few murders every year. And those murders are explained. Very low violence. It is not heat. There's no heat in some of these countries. Our country is a hotbed. Maybe it's always been that way. Maybe because it's an empire, it's empirical. That's just what is required to be a murdering nation. We go around and invade and murder people all over the planet, and maybe because we do that, that behavior also presents itself within the country.
Agreed. I agree.
But you got to play some more Fox clips. They're good.
Yeah, I got another one here where she's talking about our neighbor Baltimore. She's talking about Baltimore, talking about the crime there. So you want to go ahead and play it? It's the same episode from today.
Absolutely. I wish you could get her whole show at one time, but that's cool.
I think they just got clips of it. Yeah, so I'm just pulling some clips of them.
No, Fox News, they put all the clips out. You just got to go through them. Yeah. They put all
yeah. You ready?
Yeah, hit play.
Did their best to ignore the violence and decay of all the chaos in all the American cities, as we were just saying. And it doesn't take a detective to figure out why, because, it's a perfect time for the GOP to start taking advantage of this. My next guest is working to do just that. And she's gone viral for taking her message to the streets of Baltimore.
Do you care about Black lives? The people that run Baltimore don't. I can prove it. Walk with me. They don't want you to see this. I'm Kim Klacik. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This is the reality for Black people every single day. Crumbling infrastructure, abandoned homes, poverty, and crime. Baltimore has been run by the Democrat Party for 53 years. What is the result of their decades of leadership? Baltimore is one of the top 5 most dangerous cities in America. The murder rate in Baltimore is 10 times the U.S. average. Go to any Baltimore neighborhood and ask this question. Do you want to defund the police?
No. Absolutely not.
I had 3 sons killed in Baltimore City. And I think if we defund the police, it's going to be worse than that. So no, I'm opposed to that.
What are you going to defund the police for? Why? How do you defend your city, your community? Families are losing people.
Democrats think Black people are stupid. They think they can control us forever, that we won't demand better, and that we'll keep voting for them forever. despite what they've done to our families and our communities. Are they right?
Joining me now is the woman you just saw, Kimberly Klacik,
Hey.
congressional candidate
No, I know somebody who
for
know her.
Maryland's 7th District. Kimberly, this now has over 5 million views on your Twitter page. But what's the response been from the people in Baltimore?
So thank you, first of all, for having me, Laura. You know, it was us sitting here just last summer talking about the blight when I took videos that kind of went viral because President Trump retweeted them. But here we are a year later talking about the same thing and the same problems. But I've been noticing a lot of people have been commenting and said, you know what, she's not lying about what's going on here. And I'm so thankful that so many people took notice and they've been retweeting it. Even the president retweeted it today. And so now people are really thinking, hey, you know what? If we vote Republican, could things change? I really just want to get in office and show people that you can have a better quality of life. It is possible, and especially if you vote Republican.
It seems like a message of hope used to be what the Democrats stood for. Going back to Bill Clinton in 1992, he was the man from hope. Then it was Bill Clinton, hope and change. But over the last few days of the Democrat convention, there's been a lot of depressing, just very dark, fear-based messaging. I didn't see a lot of hope from either day, frankly.
No, absolutely not. And I actually saw the speech that Michelle Obama gave, and she talked about how, you know, even she's a victim being Black in America from her mansion in Martha's Vineyard. You know, it's always about victimization. But I know for a fact, you know, in Baltimore City, especially where I was in those videos, the Penn North Corridor, you know, billions of dollars of federal funds was sent to that area. And here it is in 2020, it still hasn't made it to the ground. And so from what I can see, the Democrat Party loves to leverage the urban struggles and annually ask for more federal funds, but then they actually don't, you know, remedy the problems and say, you know, this is what we're going to do. No one follows up on it. And I think people just accept it at this point. And I think now we're at a point where people are saying, you know what, maybe I won't vote down ballot. Maybe I'll take a look at other options. And I have to say, going through the city, I've been in West Baltimore for over a year now, just talking to people about what the issues are. And I ask them, I say, hey, you know what, why haven't you ever voted for a Republican or something different? And a lot of people will say, you know, you're the first Republican I've ever met. So as Republicans, I think we have to stop writing off these cities that we think we can't win and really get in there and roll our sleeves up and let them know that there are options.
Watch for Laura.
You can't win if you don't show up.
Yeah.
And in a very simple commercial, simply worded and beautifully shot. And of course, you look great in it as well, which always helps. But it was just, it was beautifully laid out. And I'm curious, who had the idea for the layout of the commercial, just the stylistic look of it?
Yeah, so, you know, luckily, this is something that we've been working on for over a year. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see where we had many videos where we would go out and interview people, kind of like the man on the streets interview style. And then I would show, you know, people just exactly how bad the blight is. You know, in West Baltimore alone, we have over 17,000 vacant homes. That's something that needs to change. You know, this is an area where there aren't any career opportunities. And for me, as a member, hopefully, of Congress in November, I want to bring career opportunities to the area. You know, Baltimore City has the second largest port in the country. We could utilize that. We saw with the COVID pandemic, we relied on other countries for PPE. You know, why not bring that billion-dollar medical equipment industry back to America and right back through the Baltimore port?
Kimberly, have you heard from Larry Hogan, Governor Hogan?
Not yet, but we're hoping that he will reach out, and we've been trying to reach him too. So, you know,
he hasn't. The Republican governor of Maryland has not reached out to you after this video. Has the RNC reached out to you to speak at the RNC next week?
Absolutely. They have not asked me to speak, but they did reach out and congratulate me on the video and said that they are there to help. So we have heard from them.
Kimberly, you should be appearing at the RNC next week. And I hope they're watching, because if they haven't figured this out yet, then I don't know what to say. Kimberly, best commercial I've seen in could be 10 years. Fantastic job. And we wish you the best of luck. We'll check back with you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Interesting. Like another
Yeah,
mentee.
well, you know, she ran against. You know what seat that is, though, right?
Ain't that what's the name seat? Kwame. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I mean, but not really his seat. It's really John. What's the guy's name? He passed away.
You talking about Elijah Cummings?
Yeah, that's Elijah Cummings' seat.
Yeah, Elijah Cummings. Yeah.
And so it's really his seat. Now, Mafumbe, he got it obviously, but you know, the thing, like you said, it gets real when he talking about elections and stuff. Baltimore is a Democratic stronghold, like period.
But didn't she hit all the points that I was talking about though? What I was saying about about the Republicans, how Republicans react to the public policy, and then how Democrats are responding to said Republicans.
So Laura said something very interesting, right? So I seen that video already.
Oh, okay.
She said something very specific, which is
Republican governor ain't reached out to you yet.
That's one. Big deal, right?
Huge.
Elections are coming up. That's one. The other thing she was surprised about was what? The RNC is not going to let you speak? Did they reach out to you? That's two. The other thing was her Laura, if you listen to kind of how she was talking, right, or speaking, it's a weakness there, right? And I know that Democrats aren't going to ever catch it. But this is the thing. Republican Party don't want black people in the party.
I'm glad you said it. It's so obvious, dude. And that's what I'm saying. And when it comes down to it, because guess what black women represent right now?
The Democratic Party.
There you go. And even what's even worse is that when you get a brown skinned woman like her, cutesy, slim looking, not looking like those caricatures, with the silk, diamond and silk, going up there, because they're gonna have them at the RNC. I already know they're gonna be there.
Well, they're mad right now because Fox News kind of kicked them off and they're calling it racist, but that's a different conversation. They used them up pretty good. I think they might be done.
No, I bet you they're gonna be at the RNC. You don't think so?
It's because they're doing it virtually. I don't know if they're gonna probably have them in there. Yeah, I think they run the numbers, and the thing is that if you hit, they'll bring you. If your numbers get loose and start to drop off, then they'll leave you where you are. They won't even call you no more.
It's all about propaganda with the party, man. It's all about propaganda. Messaging.
And that's not taught. We're not taught. We're not really taught.
Messaging.
I'll put it this way: you're not really taught how. Let me not say people. I won't even say it like that. I don't know how we should be taught to interpret politicians. Let me say it that way.
Well, then,
I don't know.
Can I say this?
Oh, go ahead.
Let me say this. Let me tell you how different it is. What is the people's agenda for the Republican Party?
Which people? What do you mean?
Not just anybody. Like, what is their agenda for people?
Their agenda for people.
Like how Democrats have like a gay agenda, like female agenda.
They don't really. Let me say it this way, and you correct me where I misstep here. The Republicans in general believe that capitalism will do the work for you. Meaning, I'm going to create a system, plug you into it, and these are the things that should be the outcome.
Exactly.
Okay.
Keep it off the people.
Yeah.
All propaganda.
Yeah.
All propaganda. We got to sell the we got to sell the idea of if you do these things, you can get a successful life too. So that's what it's got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't go off the basis of I was excluded, this and that. No. Like that is not, yeah.
Freedom, a couple of things. Freedom says the concept of the black person on the track. What's the cliche? Black person on the track, is it with no shoes? or the white person has a head start with you. You know how they talk about that stuff?
Yeah.
You
Oh yeah.
have bootstraps to
Absolutely. That's fact.
Now that is obviously that's a flawed concept. We can dismantle that. The thing is that in a free nation, the way it's set up, in my opinion, there's some obviously a lot of caveats to what I'm about to say, but it doesn't matter where you start. It's the whole point. The whole starting line, finishing line, who got the leg up, who get the whole point of the country on one level is that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you got the Homestead Act. Doesn't matter if you came over here 300 years ago. Doesn't matter if the government gave you money as an Indian to start a business in America. Doesn't matter if you got recruited by Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, directly from India, right? The deal that they got in place. America's almost saying you could run politics against what I just said, obviously, because that's what they kind of do. But really, America is saying the starting point is wherever you want it to be. So you can come over here with a silver spoon in your mouth, or you can come over here from the ghettos of Poland or from the villages of Nicaragua, right?
The most important thing in America is access.
And that's the key. It's the plug-in. We will let you plug in.
Because Laura Ingraham gave her the plug.
Yeah.
She's basically speaking on behalf of Klacik. So nobody has called you yet. So nobody's done this.
Yeah, she was.
So that's getting people, in the process of doing what they need to do to get her on board, to get her more out there, to get her more shine. So that's how that works. That's what you mean. So it doesn't really matter like where you start up because there's an individual story to that. And nobody takes advantage of individual success.
Again, I know people who are illegal, who are afraid of getting pulled over by the cops, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you this: they're not doing nothing special. I'm talking about no hookups, no loans, no. They got a little benefits from the government. None of that. They clean, but they clean 7 days a week and they clean all day long. They cleaned enough to buy a house, single family home in a neighborhood that isn't, obviously a 5-star neighborhood, but it's a decent neighborhood. Put their kids in school, feed them, clothe them, and own a couple of vehicles. And able to, to buy things and take trips, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. Just off of off the labor, right? So when you have those examples, it just on some level it does count. It does push against what a Democrat might say, because honestly, it's really my thing is that it's better to be honest and just kind of say we're going to have a group of people in this country that is just not going to work that hard after so many generations. It's just not going to happen. Right. We need to take care of them. Hard stop. Right. Don't add all the other shit to it, because you can always get immigrants to come in here and bust their ass. Because we got examples of that all over the fucking place. I mean, 60% of the billionaires are first generation immigrants. So I mean, we got tons of numbers and data. And what did your girls show? The Nigerians make 75,000, and the blacks make whatever we make.
My girl.
So we got 50.
Well, don't try to throw off on me. Don't do that. She don't rock with people like me. Remember, she don't rock with me at all.
But anyway, my point is that we have plenty of examples of it. If you come to America in general, because of where you are, where you're from, you may have more of an appetite and a tolerance level to just bust your ass, get mistreated, but get that money. Now, I've been around people who are from Africa, right? From West Coast, right? Mm-hmm. Early years ago, we all went to school. We went and got certified, and I mean, these guys just got here. We hanging out, talking, whatever. And at the end of the day, they were focused. When I mean focused, I mean, again, I won't call them anomalies. Their countries are what their countries are. I don't even care about that either. I don't even want to touch on that. But the ones that was able to get here, however they was able to get here, understood something. Okay, what do I need to get money? That's all it was about. If I finish school, if I get certified, cool, I get some money, I live my life. No politics, no trying to help, trying to fix. I'm not trying to solve anything. But what they leave out is this part, which is where the race part gets, I think, tricky for me anyway. because of black suffering, right? Specifically, those people who come here are allowed to live in white neighborhoods, and they don't realize why. That's where it gets kind of tricky, because if you're a foreigner and you come here and you get money, naturally you're not moving to the ghetto.
No,
you're going to the ghetto.
You don't want to.
You're going to live in a rich white neighborhood. And generally speaking, I mean, you may generally, it won't be nowhere else. You're not going to build your own neighborhood. You're not going to try to create a sovereign nation. You're going to integrate into people who look white. You can call them just Americans, however you want to phrase that, high income Americans, but you're going to move into a high income. Let me just say, you're moving to a high income area. I just said it that way, right?
Absolutely.
Trying to muddy up the race too much. So we know where people are going to go as you get more money and more access, where you're going to shift to. Now, when you go to those places, those people have to be ready to tolerate you. What a lot of people don't understand is that we had to die and get lynched for that to exist. It's those little things that I think gets tricky with labor, success, money. Like you were just saying, it gets very tricky, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So the ask is never going to be there for us.
Yeah,
that's my point about. And you just said it. The Republican Party really don't want to have a black base. They don't want to have what that lady was talking about. They don't want to have those people in the Republican Party. They don't want nobody that's like him there.
She found a great angle.
Yeah, I mean, she found a way to do propaganda, but it's juxtaposed to Baltimore being a Democratic city, and then fell in the city that way. So that's what I'm saying.
Stronghold. Democrat, the people who do vote in that district that are black, regardless of their economics.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a stronghold. He normally goes unopposed. Normally,
he put up a few signs. I'm in the area. He put up a few signs. We drive around. If you drive out of Baltimore, you see it. He put up a few signs. A couple of billboards. That's it. He ain't talking.
It's just like Ron Brown. It's just like Ron Brown and his son in DC. That's how it was in my district. Nobody ran against that family and him and his son.
I mean, good luck with that. I mean, if you look at the Maryland map, you can find the red districts,
right?
And Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Washington D.C., the Northern Virginia counties, Fairfax County, etc. All those other counties. That's all heavy blue. If you look at the numbers, though, I don't mean forget the color. It's 80-20, 95-5, 75.
That's why the state goes blue. That's why it's sky blue every time.
You know, our governor is a Republican. That's a different conversation with Maryland, but as far as
that's always been a different conversation when it came down governing the whole state.
We can put a thing on Maryland. Yeah, that's a different conversation. But
that's a whole complicated type of deal there. Yep,
it's good because politics, honest, that's what I mean. Though, if you're a regular person driving a bus, though, and I'm sure plenty of bus drivers talk about what we're talking about, but in generally, they're probably not. They don't have the time, attention, or care to get into to the grits of all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that sometimes people in the political sphere, like a Roland Martin, to call out a black person, will talk crazy to you. But it's like, dude, I work at a job. Like, I don't even. What are you talking? How would I even know that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like unless you was raised in politics, which he was. His parents raised him into politics. If you're not really raised in politics, what capacity do you expect for me to have to understand that?
He needs to have more patience too. Even if he needs to do something like,
I don't know.
Yeah, he
think Republicans than him with people
who vote. That's what I'm saying. He's some of the reason why there's a lot of what I call blowback from some of the Democratic type of leanings. Like, he has good points, but it gets embellished by his dogma. It gets swallowed.
Him that are Democrats. Two Democrats came on the show last and went at his ass. Because when he said "you're stuck on stupid," that one phrase.
Oh yeah, right. He does that. He does that a lot.
He could get away with that, and I feel like people came on like, the people have a single issue. Okay, you got to deal with that. You don't just dismiss it. I mean, they have an issue. You literally just said,
and that's what I call. That's what I call trying to include all of it. You can't do it that way.
And his other brother from Baltimore.
You'd be a lot better if you said if you have one issue, then have that one issue be it. But you can't call people stupid, man. Like that's what turns people off, man. It makes you look like you just don't know what you're talking about, too. So
yeah, the brother, people are trying to learn. Roland's show can be edifying. So the thing is that you're trying to understand and learn, and it's complicated. And then once you drop into, well, you're stupid for not voting, it's like, well, it's my right to vote or not to vote.
Right.
Regardless
Absolutely.
of consequences, regardless, the country becomes a dictatorship. It doesn't matter. I made my choice, and in reality, what it is. Oh, okay, that's just what it is. So let's not. That's not. Matter of fact, that's overhyped anyway.
To me, that's not the fault of the person that's not voting. That's the fault of the political landscape. Period.
But they were like
all places where people feel like it doesn't even matter if I do or if I do or don't vote. So that should just tell you that is an issue that goes all across the board too. That is not even just a black. That's not even just a black issue.
No,
that is half of the country issue.
I'm gonna tell you,
half of the country is not enthused by voting. Period.
It's about 50. It's a little over 50%. I would 100% don't vote. And
that's what I mean. It's not like we get 75 to 70%, like say like in Europe how they get they get crazy numbers. I'm like looking at that, I'm like, God damn, they vote.
100%. It's one country, it's a couple of countries. I went and did the list. A lot of countries are 75%.
We're gonna have to show, we're gonna have to show that list, man. Some of these other places, it's like, wow. Because even some of the African countries that we like to kind of rail on, they vote at a high clip, way higher than we do. It's not even close, man.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of corrupt politicians too, so-called politicians there too. So
the only anomaly was Obama. That was the only blip.
Yeah.
That was a blip.
Yeah, that was a blip.
The first year, the first term.
It's like what you said. He is what you call a political superstar.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Democratic Party couldn't unite under him, a lot of people were mad. A lot of people didn't like that he was so popular for being a junior senator.
He's a Republican.
But that's what I'm saying. He made a lot of people. Technically, he's what you want in an actual politician all the way. He split down the middle.
He should have been
not a radical. He's not a radical.
He should have been Bernie Sanders, in my opinion.
Yeah,
if what the left wanted, if what the Democrats really wanted, they don't want that though. That's what they don't really want.
No, they don't want that. Right.
They don't want that progressive policy. But if Obama was progressive, with that, they wouldn't let him speak actually. So
he would have to be. He would be silent. He would still be in Chicago doing grassroots work. He have a YouTube page. He'll be talking to us on YouTube probably, most likely. He'll be Gus T. Renegade. He'll be on Gus' program all the time, basically.
He would. He would be.
Yeah. So.
No. I just thought about that. You would have never heard them great speeches.
You want to do some final comments, man? Get up out of here. What? You've been at it for a minute.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So what you got, man? What you think, man? Give me your I guess we're gonna do, in fact, you know what? We're going to do a big political forecast after the RNC. And so we'll have a good idea about what not emotional. We'll give our actual opinions on who we think may actually win this particular presidential race.
Are we going to go down ticket, or are we just going to do the top?
No, I think we can show and prove. We can do our maps.
That's what I mean. So our battleground states.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Okay. And show the path. Show each one the path, and then we can show what we're thinking. So
everybody
put it out there. Let people see.
This path is crazy. But I'm not gonna mess with it right now.
No, my path ain't crazy. Yours is crazy, homie. Yours is way out of whack. I'm like, come on, man.
It's gonna be a Reagan landslide.
This is not Reagan. This is not after COVID. No way. We'll
see how.
I'm being realistic. My joint is way more realistic, bro. Way more realistic. And it was still a lot of red. It was still a lot of red on my map, even though
your map's pretty bloody.
Yeah, so it's still
like I told you, when you get into
But the path is clear though.
I just leave it on this. I sent you those percentages, and you see the numbers, right?
Yeah, of course. I knew that. I knew it was going to swing back like that. That's the way it's supposed to.
Well, I would just say this: I don't think people understand that some of these states vote at levels like they do in Europe. That's number one.
Right.
So
True.
the numbers get tricky depending on what you're talking about.
Well, not states, but districts. You mean
Districts? Yeah,
districts do.
Yeah.
So you'll see.
Like a
Yeah.
lot of people do vote.
The
But
districts.
it's how you spin it on TV. But I want to mention that part. A lot of places vote at 80%, 70%, 75%. So a lot of people vote in certain areas. It's just not the aggregate is whatever 54, whatever it is.
Right.
So people do come out in certain areas heavy, like shut the town down, shut the city down, type heavy, and go to the polls. And so, yeah, we're gonna show those numbers so people kind of get, I think, a good grasp of the political show.
Absolutely.
Well, I wouldn't say a show on some level because I was thinking about how we talk about all the conspiracy stuff and just all the stuff that we talk about when it comes to America as a corporation and all this other stuff, right? All the things that kind of package in to try to say, don't pay attention to the elections, don't pay attention to voting, don't pay attention to TV. All that stuff is not real. You need to just go and come listen to me, and I'm going to tell you about some other things that we came up with. But at the end of the day, these are the people that give you what you were saying earlier about Reagan, SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
These are the motherfuckers that lock your ass up.
Absolutely.
All that. Just let me rant. All that. Every time I think about people on the internet talking about shit, the first thing I go back to is no-knock warrants, busting in your house in the 90s, right? And just locking your ass up. And I wanted to show that Operation Legend for a reason, because there's a connective tissue between Biden, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and that whole family. It's a connective tissue when you're talking about poor people, specifically black people, when it comes to prison, other poor people for other reasons, be it immigrants or
black
white
men in particular.
Black men, absolutely, 100%. To systematically, as of us living during that time frame, systematically to watch how the federal and state wrangled us and put their knee on our necks, basically, it's unforgivable. Just so I'm clear on the whole, fuck the Democrats and fuck Biden for sure. What they did in the 90s is really the 80s. I want to really say the 80s and 90s. I really want to include the 80s because that what they did is honestly, it's like war crimes to me. The same way Obama did those drone strikes, right? And Trump is obviously continuing that program.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of like depending on where you are in your life, you can take personal positions on things. I put it that way. And I'm gonna tell you, Joe Biden, the CBC, the governors during that time frame, and the DAs and the ADs and those lawyers and those judges who was locking, when you see those numbers, like I know you've seen those graphs, right? When you see those numbers, man, and then linking the numbers to your life, like you're living and you're knowing not only yourself, but you're knowing your friends and your family, and then the impact on the family, the impact, by the way, the impact now, like the impact, like literally today, the impact from 85 and from 95, either people who are getting out now, or how the local news media especially use super predators, and they use that propaganda to paint us in a certain light, to make it more difficult for us when we try to act correct to still get painted a certain way or have to act or behave a certain way to function in this reality. Remember, not being in my opinion, even though I know people who was raised correctly, right? Raised right, still not really given the proper tools to understand this environment and what it is and how it works. At the end of, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got me acting right, but you locking my people up though. You lock, even if it's the American people. It don't even got to be black people. You out here just locking up people, and I mean, in the hundreds of thousands. Like, the judges are just. I mean, the time that they're giving out, right? Which I know you know about the time that they were giving out for petty stuff.
Crazy.
And we knew, and we knew, like, okay, like, I did this, I got jammed up, and we don't even want to get into that part because I'm connecting Biden and them to all the way down to the gutter of it, how it moved in, the people who was able to get set up and get rolling, who was allowed to operate, how that was monitored, right? And as that did what it did, they would come in and hit, right? And then let some other things take, like just how it was being messed with, and then how it impacted from that, and how it sort of dominoed itself out from those environments, because it impacted all of us in some way. The perception of us, what you could and couldn't do. Matter of fact, because of how those things that happen, it affects how you could behave from a freedom perspective. I can't move a certain way because when you create those structures, and I think in how we was handled within those structure, it does impact and affect how we live our lives. You're trying to be as free as possible, and that allows you to explore as much as you want. Like, it opens your mind, it allows you to become whatever you want to become, to become. And I feel like a lot of those things that were happening to us in the 80s and 90s had a major impact on just how we have decided to move in this country, right? We don't really, let me not say everybody, but a lot of us, and especially people that I know, are uncomfortable in some things and how to move and how to do some things because of how they were treated back then, and then how they looked at not only by their own people, but by other people as they tried to come out more in this time frame. Like, it's like the impact of, and it's going to continue, actually. It was so devastating, in my opinion. And I know I'm maybe not expressing that completely the way I want to, just because it's so, the magnitude of it is so large. It's very hard for me to kind of handle that you could just do something like that and still just stand up and can just sit in my face like it's nothing, right? And that goes for everybody.
Crazy.
But to sit up in my face after 40 years and to come on this, and you know what, I'm leaving it alone. I don't even want to mess with the Democrat thing anymore. It's just so disturbing that I can't even. It's disturbing. That's all I can say. It's disturbing, bro.
Well, I could tell you this, man. This won't be a repeat of the Walter Mondale and the Ronald Reagan landslide. Nothing ever would compare to that type of thing, man. This country is too split for that. Like literally, the only state that he won was his home state of Minnesota and the district, DC. That's it. It was like 500 something to like 15. It was crazy. It was a massacre, dude. There's nothing that's ever been like that. And that's what his map looked like, folks. It's unrealistic, dog. So we're gonna show and prove. We're gonna show it. You keep that same. I think you're gonna pull all. We could do it all over again and see what we come up with. But
we can do it clean.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We could do it after we seen the RNC. I mean, we'll be into September then, so we'll be going into September. So this is the home stretch now. So this is game time now.
85 days.
This is it. Yeah, this is the home stretch now. This is where it comes down to the nut country time. So it is what it is at this point.
And I told you that if what were we talking about? If we haven't seen a debate. No. So again, that to me is gonna be insane.
Yeah.
That impact of that debate, I think, if they do 1 or if they do 3, I'm thinking they're gonna have to do at least 3. I think at least 3. However they do it virtually or whatever, however they want to do that. They probably gonna do it together, but probably either a small audience or no audience.
And the main reason why Trump was able to spank everybody in those debates is because everybody was being fake and phony, and they wasn't being their authentic selves. And he basically hammered them on it, where he didn't have to talk about policies; he could just talk about their hypocrisy. That's why the whole Hillary Clinton thing just got blown up in her face. He's like, Hillary, what are you talking about? Like, you don't care about black people. Like, like, what are you talking about, man? Like, come on now. wrong. I mean, everything. So it becomes a little bit of just basically say what now?
I know we gotta go, but did you see Rachel Maddow? And
I can't watch Rachel, man.
She had. I wish I could find that video.
She's way problematic. I can't deal with her, bro.
She had Trump's niece on there, whatever she is, the one who wrote the book against him.
Yeah, it's the niece. Yeah, absolutely.
And, if you watch that video where she says, "So did he say the N-word?" Yes. And did he do this? Yes. And just watching, it was disgusting. But it was funny though. It was fun. It was disgusting, but it was fun. Just watching her.
But see, because here's the thing: what people are going to say, it's like, don't act like you don't say it every day either, Rachel.
Exactly.
Get out of here, man. Like it's she's the worst, man. Even when I first saw him, like, they got her on MSNBC, like she's a liberal. Like I remember when I first seen her talking, and then just getting the feeling like this can't be real. I know people don't really just listen to her about being liberal. Like, are you? No.
And we don't know her.
Say what?
We don't really know her views.
But I'm saying, even within what she has actually shown on her program, she doesn't like black women. Number one, she doesn't. No. She don't give a damn about black men, and it shows. No. It shows.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing to know.
I don't think she cares about people at all.
But that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. She could talk about it as far as a news clip, but there's no way that she gives a damn about anybody that's black or any of our issues. So there's no reason to pander to her at all. Like, yeah, you don't care nothing about black people at all, period. Yeah, there's nothing to discuss. It's fine. It's okay. It's cool. But don't be coming off like you some kind of progressive or liberal person, like you accept all people, because you don't even have a people's agenda. You know, she's more on a propaganda wing too, but she's just a Democrat. Yeah, so
that check is stupid. Those checks over there are stupid. That's some fat checks, man.
Anyway, man, I guess hit people with the email, man. Get up out. I'm tired, man. Shoot.
All right, hit us up at codebreakers1999@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter at codebreakers191. Definitely hit that like button, subscribe, comment.
Yeah, let us know. What you guys think about the presidency. Where you guys are on the Trump thing, and how disgusted you are with the Democratic convention. All comments are welcome. Please share your comments. I'm curious to just kind of get a good idea of what people that listen to us think about all this. So, and I'm good, man. That's it for me.
All right. Well, this is the Code Breakers. This is Paradox.
This is D. Until next time. Peace.